o'clock. We'll call this meeting of the County Commissioners to order, and in keeping with tradition, please join us with the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Good to see everybody today. First thing on our agenda today is, as advertised, we're going to conduct a public hearing for the COVID-19 Phase 3 Supplemental Grant. Here to conduct the hearing is Mr. Greg Beimer from Klein Peter Consulting Group, who is the administrator for this grant. So we will officially call this public hearing to order and open, and I'll hand this over to you, Greg, from here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Strong. This is a requirement of the funding agency, the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Fayette County has been very fortunate that they have received funding, COVID funding, under 4 cycles. They're one of the very few in the county that received funding from all 4 cycles. I would like to call up, to begin the public hearing, the Executive Director of the Economic Development Group, Dan Parker, to talk about the impact, and then we'll also hear from some local businesses that received some of the assistance.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon, Commissioners. It's certainly no secret that COVID impacted almost everything in our world. Certainly, us being no different than any other county, we were severely impacted, and the impact was not over when we took our masks off or when people quit getting infected. The effects of a turned down business lingers and continues to linger today. People find other ways of getting things done, and they stop doing business with company A, they go to company B or C. If company B or C isn't in Fayette County, it affects us. So, as Greg alluded to, we're one of the few counties in the state that got all 4 cycles of this grant. It's $1 million that we've injected into businesses in Connersville and Fayette County. We served everybody, whether you're in the county or in the city. We served everyone. The commissioners were wise enough to go forward with all 4 phases of this grant through Oprah, and we're grateful to the commissioners for having the insight and wisdom to do that. The Economic Development Corp was the sub-recipient of these funds, and so it was up to us to make contact with businesses, do the applications, basically ride herd on that process, and then to screen the businesses to make sure they truly qualified for this, for all the rounds of the grant. So today, I believe in the public hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but we have some of these business owners or some of the leaders here today, and we would love to hear from some of them. Am I premature here?
Please go right ahead.
We would love to hear from some of them today, if possible. Some of those that may have spoken previous rounds, to kind of explain this situation that the effects of COVID just don't come to a end on Sunday, and then we start the new business day on Monday, and everything is back where it was. It's not that way, and it's still not that way, and that's why these grant funds were distributed. So, Derek, Gertrude, some of the others that are here, if I could call upon you to come forward and kind of.
Okay, I'll start. Next. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you, Dan, and My name's Gertrude Whitaker, and I'm the Business Operations Manager. I do that with Reliant Biomedical Services. It's a business that my husband started. He's the managing member and the engineer in the business. And we work specifically on x-ray machines, mobile C-arms, which are a specific type of medical equipment that's used in trauma centers, hospitals, pain clinics, and even for training veterinary students with Purdue University of Veterinary Medicine and such. We've been involved in a lot of areas of across the country. When COVID hit, our business came to a complete halt. Most of these type of medical equipments are used for elective surgeries and investigations on issues with the human body. And our business for service for repairs of this equipment, it just stopped. And if you don't have income coming in, your taxes are still there. Those bills have to be paid. Because it is medical equipment, we have a lot of fees that we have to pay based on the states we operate in for the state radiation oversight. And so we were really grateful for the opportunity when we heard about this Okra grant to come in. It helped us to be able to continue meeting those expenses. We still had to take out a loan through the Small Business Administration, which was offered during COVID, a low interest loan that they offered. Just because any resource that was available, we had to take advantage of that. I will say that we have, obviously, as elective surgeries and such started, you know, our business has picked up again. But as Dan has already said, you have those residual effects that follow you, and so it was very important for us to be able to have this assistance during the pandemic, during that shutdown that actually brought us to a halt, and to be able to continue on now because of that bridge that this resource provided for our small business. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Derek from Jonesy's. I'm the owner. The second time I've got to speak. Thank you for letting me come in today. I'm not real good at this. I'm much better being in the kitchen and speaking to all of you. But things that we've seen, of course, we've talked about from the beginning of how COVID shut down and how the market has gone really haywire with supply. And those are things that are out of our control. We've been fortunate recipients of all 4 phases of the COVID, or of the work and money here. That's allowed us to keep our employment up without having to cut any hours. This last one's going to keep one person employed. I'm not good at this, so which means a lot to me. Just because I hate firing, especially for something that they don't do anything wrong. All the money that has been given to me has been given to the employees. That's what it's meant for. So we're very fortunate to have that. Current conditions for restaurants is pretty weak. We're seeing good numbers of people coming in. A lot of that is external from the surrounding communities. We're getting a lot of folks from Franklin County, Richmond, right up in all the way up in Newcastle that are coming down on a regular basis now, which is supplementing the lack of people that we're having from our local community. In that time period, so our numbers are staying high with our people that are coming through. I track how much each person spends. Okay. That number has fallen off dramatically, and that's because everybody's got to live on a budget. That's no different for me than it is for you folks. So, you know, we're very fortunate that we are in a small community with good support, and that the surrounding communities are starting to see some benefit to hopefully help pull more money back into Fayette County. You know, it was a really happy place at one point in time. And, you know, there's a whole new world out there that's gonna happen, and hopefully we can get some more folks in. Supply chain issues are still a big issue. We lack local supply on a number of things. You know, our linen company went out of business. Local linen company, they're now Universal, which is in Kentucky. They're the only folks that do that. You know, on average, my ticket price per week, $30 in the last 4 months, hasn't gone up. You know, so for me to put lemons on my table, they're the only people that are gonna come here. You know, we gotta have a lot of things that fall in place for us here to make sure that everything that we do going forward to try to attract more people in here is gonna be relying on the businesses here staying. You know, and the opportunities that you give us to stay, you know, can't be understated. So, my staff and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioners, I can see you have a pretty full agenda today. So what I'll ask is, how many other business owners are here who are a part of this program? Several? Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming and showing your support for the grant also. Thank you again, Commissioners. And to give the folks here just an idea of the return on the investment, for the $1 million that your county received, total cost to your county was $8,000 in matching funds. So I think most of us would take that deal anytime. So with that, Commissioner, do you have anything that you would want to add?
Anything? Well, I think, Greg, I could speak for all three of us in saying that we're happy that we were in a position to be able to facilitate this grant process. We know what a big help it has been to the local businesses that were negatively impacted. And, you know, we've done our part. So we hope that everyone eventually is healed sufficiently and things get back to normal. We're on our way, but it's just a matter of getting used to the new normal. I guess the new normal is going to be the thing for the future. So, and do I understand correctly now, this will be the end of these type of grants?
As far as I know, unless let's pray it's not another pandemic, but for now, this is the last of the funds that the state of Indiana has.
Okay. I have nothing else to add.
With that, we'll wrap up the public hearing. Thank you very much. There are 2 documents for closeout. I'd like to get your signature
I
on.
have your documents ready for you
Okay.
right here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Greg.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else, Greg?
That's it.
Okay. I'll need a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to close the public hearing on the COVID-19 Phase 3 supplemental grant public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 3 ayes. We're adjourned. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll move on with our agenda and we'll pick up at the approval of the minutes of our June 6th regular meeting.
Move to approve June 6th minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the minutes of the June 6th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Haley. Okay. Matt Shirk from the Health Department is here. Matt, you're here for renewal of the school liaison grant agreement.
Correct. I sent that to you. The liaison grant runs from July 1st to June 30th, 2024. It's $110,000. Provides funding to the health department to continue a position of school liaison, which is currently filled by Missy Cavanaugh. She's been able to work closely with our school as the liaison and complete all the requirements of the grant, provide training, education, and do needs assessments and immunization follow-ups and keep up chirp, stuff like that. So she's currently even doing, providing vaping courses out of school for kids that get in trouble when they're getting caught with vape and stuff like that, to provide education to try to slow the vaping down. So she's doing a great job, and this is the second year for this grant. I'm anticipating this grant being replaced by the governor's public health funding, but this will continue through June anyways.
Did this have any type of match to it?
No.
This one didn't.
No match, nothing like that. So it comes with a set of requirements that we, the health department, meet those requirements, and we've done so in year one, and we'll do so in year two as well.
I'll move to approve their agreement.
I'll second that.
Motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the renewal of the school liaison grant agreement. Any further question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Takes care of that.
Okay, this came in this morning, the public health preparedness grant that we've done for 15, 20 years, I don't know, it's been forever. That did come in this morning for continuation. I want to see if we could continue that grant as well. It's for July 1st through June 30th. It's $25,000. Currently, Alvin Day is the one providing or doing this services for the public health preparedness. He maintains all our preparedness that we're required to do for the Indiana State Department of Health. He also is our district guy, so he keeps in touch with all the other counties in the district, keeps us in contact for anything we might need, so that we work closely with all the other county health departments. And that's a great advantage for us here at the health department to have those resources from the district, not just locally. If we need things, we can go out. But, so that has continued, and from what I understand, that's not going to be part of the public health of the governors. So I think they're going to continue with this grant for at least for the foreseeable future. So, are there any questions on that one? See if we can get approval on that, or see if you want me to come back either way.
Does this one run from June to?
Yes, same dates, July 1st, June 30th.
Okay.
Like I said, I know probably these 15 years or so we've been doing this one every year.
Okay, I'm gonna approve that grant for the public health preparedness for $25,000 for this year.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to authorize the reapplication for the public health preparedness grant.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Haley? Now, Matt, while you're here, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I did have the funding amount come through this morning for the governor's public health thing. Our funding amount ended up being $272,002. So that is where our funding currently sits.
272?
272,000. So they did send me a budget form that I have to fill out and send to them, which should enable me to get the budget done for the council. And from what I understand right now is I'm going to do 2 complete budgets. So I'm going to do the current budget I have. It's not going to change anything, so they'll be able to see exactly the same budget that we've seen the last several years, and then I'll have a second budget that's completely funded by the state, and I'll turn it to them for approval, and I'll turn it to the state for approval. So the second budget will pay all the positions that we've been paying through the grant. So it should make it a lot easier that it'll be 2 separate budgets, so everybody can see that nothing's really changing.
We'll certainly need that for comparison's sake. Which leads me to my next question. We've talked about this before, but we haven't set a date for having a joint session between the commissioners and the council, the county health board, and your staff to go over all this stuff so that everyone understands what it means and what it doesn't mean, and decide the smartest path to take. So we was hoping that by the end of this month, enough guidance would come down from Indianapolis for you to be able to get a good feel for what it was going to look
Yeah,
like.
I've got some real numbers now, so that's helpful, and the budget form, which basically lists how and where we can spend the money. So, yeah, if you want me to send out an invite, or if you want to set a date and then I invite, or if you want to invite everybody, we can definitely do that at any time.
Okay.
Just everybody be on the same page.
Do you think we have enough information to do that next week?
Sure.
Everybody's budgets are due June the 30th. And if we could bring some semblance of understanding to this by then, it might help things go a little smoother. I know we have till September 1st to opt in or opt out. But still, our budgets are due before that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thought of not opting in. Just, I hope nobody has that thought, because it's $272,000 the state's providing us with basically no strings. I mean, we do have a match, but the match is exactly what we spend it now. So if we don't take the 272, we're going to get like, I forget, I told you the number last week, but it's only like 40. So it's $230-some thousand to benefit the community. The health department will use to provide services. But yeah, I'd be happy to meet anytime. So.
Okay. Well, tell me what you think.
Sooner we do it, the better.
Yeah. You just have a date next week that's good for you, or Matt, you can just send us an email.
No day. I'm busy all the time, but I'll make time. So.
With all the other people we would have to get together, I would think probably an evening, late afternoon or evening meeting would probably work best for the council. Like maybe in 1 week, Tuesday of next week. See, that would be the 27th. You look okay?
Yeah.
28th,
28th or 29th?
And then maybe we could get Michael to help with maybe Zooming. Some people might need to Zoom. That might be easier too, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of people trying to get us all on the same page.
Okay, you want to try to schedule something for the 28th or 29th?
Either day's fine.
28th is better for me. I'm going to be grandma on the 29th.
Congratulations.
Yes, it's scheduled for C-section the 29th.
Okay. How does that sound to you, Matt?
Do you have a time, or just
6 p.m.?
in here?
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to send an email to everybody?
Yeah,
Or you want-
let's send everybody an email and see what kind of response we get in the next couple of days. And then we got to make sure we can advertise it 48 hours prior to the meeting.
Okay.
And we'd really like to have your health board members here, as many of them as could be, in on
Okay.
this.
County Council, County Commissioners, Health Board. I know there is a district person with the state, and I'm going to try to get down here too. So they should be able to answer questions as well.
Okay. Okay, I'll stay with you on this.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Matt. County Clerk Don Hughes is here.
Afternoon. I am here to talk about the hours that we had the 3-month probation period at the beginning of the year, where we changed the hours from Monday, Tuesday, Friday, 8:30 to 4, or 8:30 to 4, Wednesday, 8:30 to 5, and Thursday, 8:30 to noon, and then 1 to 4, the office would be closed to the public, but my staff would still be there. We have been doing the new hours, which is Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 8 to 4. We close from 12 to 1 for lunch. Wednesdays, we're here from 8 to 5. Again, we close from 12 to 1 at lunch. And then Thursday, 8 to 12:30. And then we're closed the rest of the day. With these hours, we're open more to the public. We're open more to the public now that we have those hours because we're here earlier. And then when we were closed in the afternoon, closed to the public on Thursday afternoon, we're staying later till 12:30. We've actually had a lot more people come in during their lunch hours to come and get some items done, which has been really nice, and we've been told that. A large number of people have been coming in as soon as we open up to pay child support, which has been really nice, and her window has picked up. We actually have people waiting at around 7:45 when staff comes in, waiting to pay, so that's been really nice too, at picking up as well. We also have several attorneys that love our new hours. Some of them are able to get documents before court starts, which it just depends. Sometimes court starts at 8:30, sometimes court starts at 9, but they're able to come into our office and be able to get whatever documents they need, have any questions. We do have one local attorney that comes in and picks up his checks and picks up documents, and he comes in and he really enjoys it because he can come here and then go back to his office and open his day. So it's been really nice to have these hours. Plus, with that, talking to the court staff too as well, one of the court staff said they like it because on Thursday afternoons when my staff would be here, they would be going through Task, which is Odyssey, which is what we all use, and they would be going through that, and a lot of the stuff would be kicked back to the court. So when they would come in on Fridays, they felt like they were overbearing because my office would be there working, and they would have all this stuff to do as soon as they walk in on Friday. So they said they really enjoyed. They were all basically on the same page, which is great because that's the whole thing I wanted, is that we were all on the same page between us, prosecutors, CASA, and all that. On a personal note with my staff, one of them says she feels like the hours are better. She boosts productivity. She feels like her role, there's not a lot of downtime on my staff's role. This, like I said, this is one of hers. She says, but with the new schedule, she feels like she can engage mentally. She gets in at a decent time. No one else is in the courthouse but us. We can get our stuff done, get our day started. And we're not, Thursday afternoons, we're not bugging. We don't have any other ways to answer questions. So if something happens on Thursday afternoon, we need to talk to the prosecutor's office, we need to talk to CASA, we need to talk to the courts, the other courtrooms, no one's there. So on Thursday afternoons, we're kind of stuck sometimes when no one else is here to answer our questions or concerns. And lately we do have a lot of questions and concerns that the other offices, like the prosecutors in the courtrooms, need to answer so we can get our job done. So that's been nice that we're all kind of like on the same leveling field. And like I said, my staff is loving it. I'm loving it. I feel like the public has. I haven't heard any complaints. But again, I've not personally, I have no one's emailed me, no one's called. But I think, for the most part, I think it's worked out well. And they've also felt safer on Thursday afternoons as well, up on the second floor, because we were the only ones on the second floor. So, not that it's a horrible thing, but we were the only ones on the second floor, and it's kind of creepy sometimes when you're up there. I've been in here at 3 o'clock in the morning too. It's kind of creepy. So, I'd ask that we continue these hours of operation for the duration of, I don't know, my existence, I guess, with the position.
Any questions or comments for Dawn?
I don't have any. I've already talked to her before about it, so.
I don't know.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
No, what are your,
For
I don't know
hours she
about
has
for
now.
life though.
Well, duration of my, let's do duration of my tenancy as the
Yeah.
clerk. How's that?
Yeah,
Be it be 4 or 8 years. How's that?
that's good.
just to approve the
Hours that she has now.
set hours on a continuing basis?
Yep.
We have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to approve the clerk's request to continue the experimental hours that she's been doing at her office on a permanent basis. Is that good enough?
Yep.
Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Haley.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I don't have anything else for you. Do you have anything for me?
Can't think of anything.
Awesome. And when you're ready, we're ready to start with the boxes. My staff's ready to start moving the records and going through them down the basement. So when we're ready, we're ready.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll be with you on that.
All right.
Do we have to get more boxes for that, or is there enough?
Yeah,
We're
we'll,
about to,
we bought some, but there'll be more. Sheriff Jones.
Sir, make it quick. I was told that I had to come before you guys to set up a non-reverting fund. I had a guy, Lonnie Scott, who is in charge of a member of the Fayette County 2A Resolution Group. He has some money that he wants to donate for a canine program. So when we get a new dog, he wants this money to go towards that and just that. So I need to set up a non-reverting fund. That way I can put that money in there and it'll stay.
Okay, and this is non-reverting fund for purchase of a canine.
Yeah, eventually. We don't need a K-9 right now, but eventually he just wanted that money to be given to us.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
by putting it in the non-reverting, it can't be spent anywhere except for the dog, right?
Yeah, that would be the purpose.
I just want to make sure next sheriff couldn't come in there and take that non-reverting fund and do away with it, or can they? And use it for whatever he wants to do with it, or she, whatever.
Not on their own, they couldn't.
So it specifies for K-9, is that river?
That's what I was told.
Yeah. I'll make a motion, well,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the non-reverting fund for the K-9s.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to authorize the creation of a non-reverting fund in the county sheriff's department to fund a K-9 unit, replace or
Or addition,
Yeah.
one or the other.
K-9 unit. Any further question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Haley. Now, Sheriff, while you're here, I think I saw a 144 request from the jail for a jail officer.
Okay.
Did you bring that over?
Nope, it was already here, but yeah, I think Beth King brought it over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even sure which one it's for because we have a lot of jail officers that the turnover is high because it's a rough job.
Okay, well, Beth must have brought it over then. So evidently you're short one.
Yeah, we were. I think we still are, but yes, this is to fill one of the spots that we had come open. I don't know which one it is, though, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Does it say a name on there? Yeah.
No, I have the number.
It could be for, we just hired 3, so there's probably 2 more coming over.
I think this is for Akron.
Okay, yeah. So we got 2 more coming over after this one. Yeah, this is for Elisa Ackerman. She just graduated high school. Scary proposition, but she's a good kid. She's 18 years old. She graduated from Jason Cloyd's criminal justice class, so she's got her jail certificate already. And she's been over there for about 2 weeks now, and she's doing a great job. So Jason's training them up really well because we've got 4 now, I think, from his class that are doing really well.
Oh, I got a girl in dispatch from his class that's A number 1.
I think he's got 12 out of this class that's already found a job in either corrections or 911. So
Okay, well, I'll take that to mean you need approval on that
I need
today.
approval on it, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you need it back.
I'll move to approve Miss Ackerman's 144.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the 144 request for jail officer Ackerman. Any further question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Haley. Takes care of that.
There you go.
Anything else?
I have nothing else. You guys have anything for me?
Okay, thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
911 Director Kelly Van Meter is also here with a 144 request.
Yep, so Chandra Harden, she was here when I first hired in. So she just moved back to town and she came to see me about a job and I'm like, my gosh, yeah, because she just came from a 911 center, Montgomery County. So I have no doubt about her ability. So I would like to request her to be a part-time employee there.
Right. Yep.
I'll move to accept the 144 for Chandra.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to approve 144 request. Is that for Sandra Harden?
Chandra,
Chandra.
C-H-A.
Oh, Chandra.
Chandra.
Chandra Harden. Okay.
And then I was coming here earlier time this year, but I didn't make it for a Sean McNew for a 144. He's already working there. Haley has already had
I
them
think
for, but I don't think I came to the one for this here to give the 144 for him, but he's already employed.
Yeah, I believe we approved that one
Did you?
last.
Okay.
Last.
Oh, that was when I was
meeting
absent.
I
And
think that-
okay.
yeah, I think
I
that-
wrote him down anyway because I wasn't sure if we had went that far with it. I didn't want to forget him.
Yeah.
So by hiring her, you know, we've lost a full-timer right now to, she's got some issues with her back and arm and things, so she's out indefinitely right now, but she is a full-time employee. She has gathered paperwork from Haley for short-term disability and or FMLA. So she's on that journey right now. I know that you had said that she hadn't turned that in, but I think she's getting it done now because the doctor had actually made a final decision on that, so you should be getting that back to you. So having her be full-time and putting us down to 4 full-time people and myself, I'm really happy to have this 144 with a girl that's already done dispatching, of course, and then I had Grant Davison come back. He starts back again tonight. He's been on like an as-needed person, but he needs to come back as a solid little job here part-time. So I think we're getting back into shape right now, but we have been very struggling with manpower over there. I just worked Sunday this week just because I had 2 new ones on the radio, so I kind of go over there and oversee, make sure everything's going good. I didn't work radio, I just sat there and did some other office work with them while they worked the 4 hours. So that's the kind of stuff I've been doing to make sure we get people in there doing okay. Other than that, that's it. Anything for me?
Back to the 144 for Chandra Harden. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes on the.
Did I steamroll you, Dale? I didn't mean to.
We'll get it, Kelly. We just gotta make it.
Okay. Well, you know me, I don't have a stop button. Is
I
that it?
didn't-
Anything
I
else?
didn't say that.
Oh, no, but I will. I don't care. I'm hot.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, thanks,
okay.
Kelly.
Yeah, no problem. If you've already got it,
Is Dave Rickman still here in the room?
then that.
Dave,
I
did you
think
have
there, If
anything?
you've already done it, then strike him out. Okay, thank you.
I couldn't see over the podium there. See if you was here.
Yeah, we want to ask permission to go after a grant for the building up there. So Lisa can tell you more about it.
Okay,
Yes, we just needed permission. David come, it's been about 2 weeks now, and talked to me about the plans for the building up there. And the local Urban Enterprise Association, they offer a special exemption grant, and we would like to submit an application for that, for the cost of the building. We will go ahead and request from them the full amount of whatever the quote on Thursday comes back to be, and kind of go from there. But we just need permission to do that. At this time, we're not putting any kind of match or anything in it. We just need permission to apply.
okay. How big is the grant you're gonna ask for? Or can we put a amount on it yet?
Probably between 60, maybe 100, maybe, I don't know. Sure, that's roughly.
We had
But we're-
received quotes before, Dave had. One was like 48,000, one was 60,000, and we just needed to get them updated. He had made some changes up there. So depending on what that comes back in will be what our request amount will be.
Okay.
We're not for sure this year until we get it done.
Yeah.
Again,
We may break it in stages. Not
Is
sure.
this a standalone building, or is this hooked to one of the buildings you already have?
it's the other building up there, for the new building, I'll call it. But it's been there for how many years, you know, so
Yeah,
we're trying to get it used,
that's good.
you know, so.
And you said this is a urban enterprise, is that the name? Okay. So, it sounds good.
We're moving forward, we're trying to get, moving forward, is what we need to do, to update everything. You know, update our animal shelter, we need it badly, you know. It's been, our animal shelter's been there since '72. You know, it's time to upgrade some of it.
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve that, going after the local urban enterprise grant.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to approve the application for urban enterprise grant for the animal shelter. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 3 ayes, Haley. Takes care of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. APC Director Bill McDaniel. Bill, do you have anything under your normal course of monthly business?
Well, mostly it's, I'm just here to give you an update with Mike and Nick. I returned to going back out in the field doing inspections. What I've been requesting is that I have at least an even surface so I can get to around the job site. So I'm getting around better. Some are a little more difficult, but if it's inside, I really don't have a problem with doing inside work. Or if it's as long as it isn't too steep or it isn't too rough, I'm getting around. Those ones I'm using the little hiking poles to help me on the job site. So that's where I am with that, and as expected it's getting busy like it has in the past. As in the past before I had the surgery.
Good. Good deal.
Yeah, but 17 or 18 weeks.
Okay. Is there anything else?
That's all I personally have.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, Bill.
Okay, if there's anything you need me to hang around for, I will.
Okay, you might as well.
I was afraid you'd say that.
County Assessor Jeff Coleman is here for a 144 request. Jeff?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I have a young lady who's been working for me for a few months until she finished her master's degree. Her name is Olivia Rickmans, and she was our reassessment clerk. So she's been offered a publishing job as an editor of a regional magazine in Joplin, Missouri. So she'll be leaving, and I'd like to replace her with someone that I'd like to hire here locally. She's born and raised, and the person I would like to hire on the 144 that I have in place is Kendra Martin.
Could you say that again?
Kendra Martin.
Kendra Martin?
Mm-hmm.
Moved up for 144.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the 144 request for the hire of Kendra Martin for the County Assessor's Office. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 3 ayes, Haley.
That's it. You know me, short and sweet.
Yep. Thanks,
Have a
Jeff.
great day.
EMA Director Wade Walling is here. Wade, do you have anything?
I do. I have a brief update for you all. I needed out packets to the three of you commissioners. So I want to let you know I completed my communications unit leader training last week. That was a long, intense course, but it's made me better prepared in the event that we have an emergency to be able to provide communications for our emergency services. So that's done. There is a communications unit leader technician program that I may be applying for, but right now I've got to get some other things caught up with. I also have met with the Fair Board concerning the emergency plans for the Fayette County Free Fair. We had a good conversation, and I'm working on creating incident action plans for that, and working with our emergency department heads to make sure that everybody's on the same page in the event that we should have an emergency, a tornado or something like that blow through. And then I would like to request to stand up 2 separate volunteer teams. One would be a community emergency response team, and what that is made up of volunteers from the community, local businesses. These are not per se first responders, it's actually community members. And they will have to go through a CERT basic training course to be able to respond and help on emergencies. Some of the things that they may do is search and rescue, light search and rescue. They won't be going into homes that are just toppled. You know, they're like open the door and yell. If they hear somebody, then they can alert emergency responders to go search for those people. But it's a vital resource that is a nationwide program, CERT. And I spoke with Wilson, Lawson, Myers, Chris over there today. She said that the county already has a volunteers clause to our insurance, so workman's comp would cover somebody if they were injured. I would just have to give her a list of the volunteers' names that are volunteering for this team. They would have to complete a criminal background check to make sure that they're cleared to operate within the emergency services, and they would provide a resource that we need in the county. The second team is the incident management team. What that is specific. If you think back to civil defense years and years ago, where we had a lot of volunteers that went out and helped with traffic management or helped with events, fairs, festivals, things like that. This is what that incident management team would be kind of comprised of. People that can go out, help our law enforcement agencies, our fire agencies with smaller tasks. They're not there to replace manpower, but what they are there for is to augment emergency services in the event that we should have something large enough that we require more help than what our county and our city can provide at the time. Because it will take FEMA and DHS at state level has this saying that the first 3 days of an event or an incident or an emergency is on us. It's going to take a minimum of 3 days to at least start getting boots on the ground from DHS through FEMA, things like that. So we have to augment ourselves to make sure that we can respond to any emergency anytime. So I am requesting that you guys approve, and if you want to table it and talk about it and bring it up next meeting, I'm willing for that. But it's something we're going to have to do, especially since we don't have the capital to have full-time employees do this. So I think these are both 2 good viable options, and both teams have to go through specific trainings to be able to do their job. So we're not having people volunteer and then just jump right out there and start directing traffic. That's not going to happen. They have to be vetted. They have to make sure that they have the right kind of temperament to be in emergency management. So.
Does people also have to go through, I guess, like a sheriff's or city police background check?
Yes,
Make sure.
I'll work with Zach and Sheriff's Department to have each individual on both teams background checked and cleared, no felonies. I'm not necessarily opposed to old misdemeanors that are really small and nothing major. I mean, but I can't have criminals in this line of work, so it's.
Does this include like security, to help with
It
security?
could.
It could.
Yes, absolutely. So you're thinking in advance like I am. I've already got this all pictured out and laid out, but yes. So for that, I would need your approval. And then if you want to act on this now, I'm fine. If not, I'll go on with my quick report, the remaining of it.
I'd like to table it till our next meeting.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
We'll just let that lay for a while then, Wade. Now, if I understand your description of this correctly, we've all seen the scenes on the evening news of emergency situations in communities where they're letting every volunteer they can get help save people from tornadoes, explosions, everything else. Now, do I understand correctly, if we do this, before you can volunteer to help save lives in an emergency, you've got to be pre-approved?
You have to be trained.
Pre-approved or
Right.
pre-trained?
Right. Yeah, so somebody just off the street couldn't walk in and say, hey, I'm going to volunteer to help. We need people with specific skill sets, like basic first aid, nothing major, but be able to at least control some bleeding, things like that. They have to be vetted because we don't want somebody that's there who has, for lack of a better term, a power trip issue where they think they have authorities that they don't have, because we can't have that kind of personnel working in emergency scenes. So they'll be vetted very, very carefully and scrutinized. And they also have to, because it's volunteer, they have to be willing to go through the training, and it's not just a 8-hour class. It's ongoing, hands-on training, NIMS, National Incident Management training. There's a boatload of training that they're going to have to do to be able to at least be able to go out and what we call deployed.
Do you know the expense of that, like type of
So
training?
most of that training will be free. It'll be through FEMA. A lot of it is independent study, where they go home and they'll study it on their own through web. What we'll have to do is get them public safety identification numbers, and that's through the state of Indiana. That's not an issue, so no cost to that. So.
Okay, well, we'll get back to this.
Yep.
You can go ahead with the rest of your...
Sure. So on June 27th, I'm meeting with emergency department heads to discuss the food truck battle and fly-in. It is now, I learned today that they're actually having a fly-in for this event. So we're going to be working on emergency planning for that, communications, and egress and ingress routes for emergency services. The airport kind of one way in, one way out, but we need to find another way for emergency responders to get in and out. So, and then the next commissioner meeting, I'm sorry, my final point there on my report is Thursday I'll be out at Everton for the Firefighter Festival. I have a little booth table set up, so I'm inviting you all to come out if no one else has and see what's going on. Everton usually puts on a pretty good program out there. So, and then just a little brief heads up, next month for the July 5th meeting, I was going to request approval to apply for a Duke Energy grant. The reason I haven't done it sooner is because I've been waiting to get added to their system, and it takes time to be put in their system. There's a different vendor that they use to kind of assign a spot to, and Fayette County Emergency Management wasn't in that system, so I had to go through that. And then I need to talk with Duke a little bit more on what their grant maxes are, what I can apply for, and what matches there are, if any. But I'll have that information for the July 5th.
Okay.
So did I take up enough of your time on a busy day?
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So, all right.
So
If you have any questions?
you do have to approve him to pursue that, do you? Gotcha.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thanks, William.
Thank you.
Highway Department, Jay Havlin, do you have anything to report today?
Good afternoon. They're supposed to be bringing the brush cutter in Thursday.
Thursday.
It might be about 4 o'clock, they're not sure what time they'll get here. They're supposed to head out with the Wednesday, so
Okay.
depends how long they can get here.
Be glad to see that thing arrive.
We've been using the old one, but it seems like every time we take it out, it'll go about 2 days and it's down and we have to fix it again.
Yeah.
So
Spends
it's just
more
a matter
time in
of
the
time.
garage than it does working.
And
Have we come up anything on the paper from Wayne County on CDL license?
We have not. You,
No, I haven't seen anything from them.
okay. And we have not had any communication lately with the union rep to see if there's any consideration that we might need to take as far as their contract is concerned on that subject. I can't think of anything, but I didn't know they might think of something that we wouldn't, you know. I think, if I remember right, at our last meeting, we told you to kind of proceed.
Yeah, I've been getting a couple more applications in. I haven't interviewed anybody yet. But I want to make sure I know what I can tell them about what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I think it was our intent to adopt that policy, but we haven't done it yet.
Okay. Now, on the, are we going to proceed ahead and do ordinances to put signs up down in the Everton area? I brought Brian along because he is a sign man, and I've been out there and run the roads myself, and it's just about had to put them on all the roads north or south of Everton Road, going around through Bentley, because they're coming down all of them. I went out there this morning, and I met some going down through Bentley, and when I come back, I cut back around across 750 to 350, and head back up to Kid Road, and I met some coming down Kid Road to go over that way. I met a clothing truck, one of these, like work uniforms and stuff, cutting across there. I don't know why they would be cutting that way unless they think it's shorter.
Well, there's probably someone that didn't know the roads that well. Yeah, I spent some time down there the other day myself, and at least
I haven't had a problem down there yet. I went all the way down to Causeway Road and turn around and come back. I mean, I met some people in narrow spots you have to get over for. But most of them seemed like they was trying to slow down. But I didn't have many trucks down there yet, except for that box van I met this morning.
yeah. Well, when I was down there, I had one right on my bumper all the way. 'Cause, you know, I'm kind of slow driver anyhow.
Better be slow down there.
Yeah, but not everybody sees it that way. As far as changing that, you know, reducing the speed limit down there, maybe we had a short discussion with our county attorney before the meeting on this. Jeff, do you want to kind of, would you mind outlining our
Sure.
proper procedure for doing this?
Sure, we just need to get an ordinance drafted, have a special meeting. I wouldn't suggest waiting 2 weeks. I'd go ahead and do a 48-hour notice and have a meeting potentially this week, get that speed limit changed and go. We talked about too having it expire once the detour was no longer being used.
And we would have to, in that ordinance, we would have to give a specific description of each road.
Well, and you have to have an ordinance for each road, or just one ordinance to cover all the roads?
One ordinance, I think, could cover
As long as you name all the roads. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
If you name the roads and the locations of those roads that would be impacted. And then are we going to put up signs?
We will eventually. It takes a while to get them located, and then you got to get them made.
Signs are more important
It's
than
not a
anything
quick
else.
process.
Yeah.
The problem is signs are more important than the ordinance because people are not going to be aware.
Well, we can go ahead and start getting them located, as long as we know the ordinance is coming to put them up there. What's the speed limit you're going to go with?
I'd make that happen.
Well, we've heard suggestions, everything between 20 mile an hour and 80 mile an hour, so. I don't care what number you put on it, they're not going to obey it anyhow, and that's where the sheriff back there comes into play. See, and he's wishing now he was somewhere else. But without enforcement, it doesn't matter what you put on it. So I don't think there's really there's no decision on what the speed limit should be.
Do you know what Franklin County's got on their side? 30.
Yeah.
They put it up one day and sat there with the radar the next day, which is right past the sign, was kind of illegal.
Yeah, I went down there this morning, they've got it on our side, going into Franklin County, but nothing on their side coming any other direction.
That's right. You're right. So I walked over that hill and the cop was sitting right down there. And I've drove that road for, I'm the 4th generation living down there. And they can't, I'd fight that one in court if I was doing 40.
Are you gonna draw the ordinance up? I've got a copy of one we did on Alpine Road.
Just shoot it over to me. Make sure they're uniform.
Yeah, we can do that.
But did-
I'll give you the names of the roads.
Well, yeah, the names of the roads and the locations of the roads. It can't just be the name of the road. I need like between, 200 south and 300 south or whatever they need.
We can do that, can't we, Brian?
Now, are we also responsible then afterwards to take those signs down? The highway will do that work?
If you're gonna, yeah, if you discontinue, yeah.
You might get input from some of the people who live there forever what that speed limit should be.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt at all. Well, do we agree that we want to try to squeeze in a special meeting this week? Trying to do that? If it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now, if we had notice to the newspaper and Channel 3 right now, the earliest we could have a meeting would be 3 p.m. on Thursday. So, but that notification has to be official in order for it to be legal. And Haley, I think this is where you come into play today.
Do we need to have a motion to go ahead? I'll move them, that we make an ordinance to set a speed limit that, what do you think the speed limit should be?
Me?
Yeah, you live down there.
Well, I want to tell you one more thing before.
Okay.
I was told by a guy from the state the other day, this is going to go on for 3 years.
3 years?
State Road 1 is going to be shut down places for 3 years, from Cartersville to
About 8
Brookfield.
months.
So whatever you make, you're living for 3 years. I mean, it's just,
What do you think it should be?
to me,
Yeah.
I thought 30 was a little low, because if you ain't got nobody coming, you'd be doing 40 mile an hour. If you're doing 50, you're going too fast anyway, roads won't, you can't stay on the road. But 30, but when you meet somebody, you still gotta slow down. I don't care who you are. If you're doing 40, you still gotta slow down and get off the berm a little bit so that both of you can get by easily. But most of these people, especially the ones from across the state line over there, they don't slow down at all. They pull their boats down past my house like a freight train. So, it just, 35, 40 is what I would say. That's my opinion. Huh?
They'll always go 10 miles over whatever it is.
Well, no, they'll go about 20 on some of these. I seen a boat go by my house the other day with a dually truck and he had to be going 60. And there's just no way you can, I average about 5 or 6 boats a year. I have to put bolts in them so they can go on down the lake. So, that's...
Is there anybody else here for that reason? Inquire about that.
Okay, well, let's decide when you want to have a special meeting.
This is
Thursday.
48 hours,
Okay.
whenever she gets the email sent.
Haley, can you send an email for us today as soon as possible to the News Examiner and John Posey? We're going to have a special meeting.
We give you that notice? Let's do Thursday at 3:15.
Thursday at 3:15.
Can you get email or newspaper while you're sitting here?
Okay. The purpose of the meeting will be to adopt a speed limit ordinance. And I think that's all you need to say.
So you're gonna
In the meantime, Jay, we'll settle on a speed limit of some sort, something that's reasonable.
Well, Brian would probably like to know so we can start making signs and getting them ready.
Let me know as soon as you can. Somebody has to be ordered.
Yeah, well,
Is there anyone else here for that issue? Like, is there anybody else that has any input? No? Sounds like 35 it is. He said 30 or 40.
So we need to make a motion now to do that, or wait?
No, but if you want to give a couple days heads up.
35 sounds good to me.
okay. Do you have anything else today, Jay?
That's it.
All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to that new piece of equipment arriving so we can get these limbs trimmed back from the roadsides.
Yeah, we may need to go down Bentley Road and those roads that this is affected by, yeah, it sounds like they're narrow.
There's a bunch of them. Everybody out there's got limbs down on them right now. All this rain made them
Big
really sprout
trucks
out.
coming down through there.
Okay. All right, thanks, Jay.
One more question, Jay. I don't know if it'd be you or Jeff. So if we put this ordinance together, can we put in this ordinance to stop large trucks other than local delivery trucks? To keep these
I
semis
don't know
and
if
big
you
trucks off our
can do that or not.
Aren't they supposed to follow the
There's
state's
got no weight limits on the
detours?
roads. How do you stop them?
Well, so is this a state detour that they've decided? Like, have they got with you and made sure this is not really a
The
specific
state detour goes out around 101.
Then yes.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Yeah. They shouldn't be coming down Bentley Road.
But this isn't the first time we've had to deal with them in the deal.
But you've got to be careful with your language because you don't want to restrict farm trucks. You don't want to restrict trucks that are coming through
Delivery trucks.
delivery trucks.
That's
You've got to
what
be
I'm
very
saying.
careful.
Local delivery.
Right. But local delivery can be interpreted, can be interpreted quite a bit different ways. I'd just be careful we're not restricting farm trucks and really specific local.
We'll try to get it right the first time.
Well, do you want me to put that in there?
I do.
Yeah, I would definitely do.
Anything else, Jay?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you. County Surveyor Bill Mackey. Bill, do you have anything?
Not having anything.
Okay. Brings us to the county attorney. Do you have anything today?
I don't think so. So you want me, just for clarification, you want me to put 35 miles per hour in this, or do you want me to send it to you? I won't send it to Jane because she won't be here, so send it to you in Word format so you can change it, because I will not be available Thursday.
That'd be okay. Copy all of us, including Harry, on it.
I can do that.
Joe, Lisa, did you have something else today to talk about? Okay, come on up.
I apologize. I'll try to be as quick as possible.
You left and I thought you was done, so yeah, I don't notice you were
Well, I
back.
didn't want to jump ahead with the other item since that one was under the animal shelter. As you know, DMHA provided us some funding through a grant through the state opioid matching grant. Fayette County received $890,000 in grant funds. We had the city and the county partnered on this, along with, there were 6 other organizations that submitted projects for funding. As you know, only 2 of the projects that we submitted received the grant funding, which left us with 4 other agencies. That project was not going to get funded unless Fayette County and the city of Connersville decided to utilize their local settlement funds, what was remaining after we matched the grant, to fund those projects. So I had individually met with each of you and had given you guys the information collectively of what was left after the commitment is done. Started with $110,687.80 for the local 2022 opioid settlement. your commitment to House of Ruth for the 3 projects that they were doing was $45,000. Connection Cafe for their 2 projects was $1,000, which left us $64,687.80. I know you guys have already seen all these numbers, which meant that the total for the 4 entities that were not funded, we needed $346,000 to fund those in total. What we had discussed was doing 1 year's worth of funding for most of the projects. The only one that we had looked at trying to fund in completely, and it was because it was the only prevention project that dealt with school-age kids, was the Hope Pregnancy Center. So after discussing the projects with you and talking to each individual, I know the EMA director, Wade, had decided to postpone his project that he had submitted at this time. He's just got a lot going on right now. So taking that one out, what I am recommending today, based on the conversations that we've had here and there, is that a total of, okay, it's on the other sheet, just a minute. Is that $41,600 be given toward the Hope Center's project to go to fund their 2-year project of prevention. Reed Hospital, we're requesting that the county matches $4,500 to their project. That would just be for 1 year's funding. I'm going to be requesting that the city matches that with a little bit over $8,000 to fund them and completely for 1 year. And then for drug court, we had talked about doing a part-time person just to get him some help in there, since we cannot afford with the funds that you have to do a full-time person. So what I'm recommending is $4,500 Reed, $41,600 for Hope Center, and then for drug court it would be $38,500, and that would pay for a part-time person that would cover their part-time salary and the fringe that we have to cover those costs. So that is what I'm here today requesting, that you would formally appoint those funds toward those projects.
Okay, now those appropriations are the non-restricted.
It was, the restricted funds was the $64,687.80 that was left over from your 2022 settlement. You had $26,000 thereabouts, maybe $27,000 that was unrestricted, and so that would mean that you would have to put a total of $19,912 out of those unrestricted funds in order to completely fund what we just discussed.
And what did you say was in the non-restricted?
The non-restricted was like a total of $27,000, or they're right about. So what you would be using of that would be that $19,912 of that. So it would still leave you a little bit if you wanted to support another organization. But this is a way for us to go ahead and partner with those agencies, along with the House of Ruth, Connection Cafe, which were the 2 agencies whose projects were approved.
Yeah, because I know that with the Hope Center, they need to they would need to order supplies for the school year with the with the school. So that's probably a good idea, and probably for Reed also.
Correct.
And that would take care of every project for 1 year.
Yes. See, Hope Center would be 2. Hope Center would be 2. The others would be fully funded for a year.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the funds as you set forth for us. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale, to approve the
Local opioid settlement funds.
local opioid settlement funds spending plan as just enumerated very skillfully by Julie Saves. I can't repeat every figure you said there. I hope that's accurate enough, Haley, for our purposes today.
if you need figures from me, just let me know tomorrow and I'll send them to you.
Okay, any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, and we'll record all this properly, but we're depending on you to
Not a problem.
do your
Thank you.
usual thing and keep us out of trouble,
I try.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any mail they want to share? Do you have anything under old business that you need to bring up? Anything, Tracy?
No.
Okay. Under new business, we do have, it is time for a library board appointment. As we discussed earlier, a candidate that I think is worthy of consideration. You want me to nominate him? Okay. I'd like to nominate Colin Judd for appointment to the Fayette County Library Board of Trustees for a term of 4 years.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to appoint Colin Judd as Fayette County Library Board Trustee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Is there anything else under new business? Okay. We get down here to patron concerns.
We're gonna take a pause for a minute.
Okay. We'll hold the meeting for a minute. Dale has to go outside for a second.
On this, should we be able to?
Well, he's already been here.
Is that the one I think you should talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, then I already have that.
Do you know who it was you spoke with? Sorry, from the state. He spoke with somebody from the state. I was curious who it was.
What?
Do you know who you spoke with at the state that shared that 3 years?
The guy put the signs up, and I'll tell you that. He's the one that put signs up down through one.
Okay.
Lives on Jim Run Road, down Franklin County. And he's in charge of that area. He says, Road 1 will be closed on and off for 3 years.
I wonder why they don't communicate that. Or would they communicate that to Joe?
Yeah. Under patrons concerns, we have Leota King on our agenda here for a quick request.
I'm here to request that we place a memorial walk for Vivian Hanley in the garden right here beside the stairs. And I understand that there's a bench that has been purchased by the city, by the county courthouse employees that is in honor of Mark Nobby, and that's not been taken care of either, so I figure I might as well ask for both of them while I'm here. I'd like the stone to be placed in the flower bed right here beside the north steps. And I think a good location for the bench would be in all this area where you can walk up to this steps, because there's plenty of concrete there. Dale requested that we not put it any place where they had to mow around anything. And Dale Strong, that is. I'll designate which one. And you wouldn't have to mow around the bench if it was placed right here at the foot of the stairs between the parking lot, the preferred handicap parking, and where the mailbox is to drop in stuff for the courthouse. And then there's a whole lot of concrete there that bench could be placed on without any problem. And I request the commissioners to approve this.
Okay.
Did you say that bench has already been purchased?
No, it hasn't been purchased. I think the donations were made by the courthouse employees. I don't know who is in charge of the funds or where that money is, but I know that you're going to need someplace to put it, and if they have that, maybe we can get somebody on the ball and get that purchased and taken care of, because Mark served this county well, and his death was a loss to all of us, as was Vivian, because they both were very committed to Fayette County, and they deserve to be recognized.
Yeah, well, I'll explain a little, Leota, that what caused the delay of the order of the bench was there wasn't enough. The bench cost more than the amount of money that was collected.
Oh, okay.
So, and shipping rates went astronomical there for about a year, and so that everything got put on hold. And I think things have settled down a little bit. We're kind of close, but finding the right bench at the right price was not as simple as everybody thought it was going to be. You wouldn't think that a simple bench like that would cost over $1,000 plus $500 shipping. So you're right, that needs to be taken care of, and we'll see that it gets taken care of. But in the meantime, the rock that you want to place out here in the flower bed, how big is it?
I think I sent you a text, but let me tell you, I'll give you the dimensions here.
It's like 12 by 14 by 8. It's about this big. And I think Shirley has it in her car, so that Dale Munson said he would put it in the flower bed for us.
Okay. Yes, Mom? Just like
And Tracy told me she approved it. Dale Strong approved it first. But he said I had to take it before the other two, and I told somebody, I said, well, I've got the Democrat on my side, the 2 Republicans better not say no.
You made your point very well.
Bear with me, it's here somewhere.
Okay.
I'll move to approve both of them.
I said that.
Okay.
Thank you, Dale.
We have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to approve the placement of a memorial stone in the north flower bed in honor of County Council Member Vivian Highland. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. There you go, Leota. Now,
Will you see that the other day it's taken care of?
pardon?
Will you take care of Mark's?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll check on that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And for the record, it's 12 inches wide, 14 inches tall, and 8 inches deep. And I took it out of the vehicle because I didn't want to presume anything. But I will get it back in the vehicle, and if you'll approve the spot, we'll get it in the proper location.
Okay. All right, well, thank you both.
And we'll help pursue the other one as well
Okay.
to completion.
All right. Anything
Thank you.
else? Anything else for you two?
No.
Okay.
Takes care of the problem.
All right, last on our agenda, we have Kurt Naylor, solar panels. Kurt, something you'd like to present?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit here. First of all, thank you for your time today, Commissioners. Wanted to talk about, as you drive around and the Midwest, I'm fortunate enough, I guess, in my job to spend a lot of time throughout the Midwest and starting to see some solar pop up and in surrounding counties as well. And these industrial solar plants, you know, in my job in agriculture, as well as farming, you know, I get really concerned about seeing productive farmland disappear in this manner. And that's where it started. That's where all this started, the concern. And then as we started digging in and finding more out about the solar companies, the solar panels, and these solar fields, the concern definitely grew. So to start off about farmland, every day in the United States, 2,000 acres of farmland is lost a day in the United States. Over the next 40 years, if that were to stay at that rate, and I think as we drive around big cities and around the industrial developments, that number's probably going to grow and be expedited. In 40 years, the length of life that a lot of these solar panels, solar companies are saying, that'll be 29,200,000 acres of lost productive farmland over the next 40 years across the United States. So that's where the concern started. And from there, and as we started doing digging, another interesting fact, so Purdue has a study, and every year they do cost of inputs and that kind of stuff, okay, for an acre of cropland. On a 2,000 acre industrial solar field, over $30 million in revenue to businesses will be lost locally for a 2,000 acre project. So the Falmouth Farm Supplies, the fuel suppliers, the nutrients, the co-alliances that are employing local people. I heard employment be brought up earlier. If over 40 years, $30 million is taken out of their pockets, what's that going to do to jobs? How many full-time permanent jobs will solar create? And I want to emphasize that today what I'm talking about is I'm sharing concerns, but I hope that we give you commissioners food for thought to, you know, as solar moves in, and I can assure you there's a project outside of Glenwood we'll talk about in a little bit. When one moves in, the floodgates open, and more and more and more solar will start attacking farm ground in the community. They're looking for easy access to power lines, high voltage power lines, and flat laying ground, productive farmland to go into. So, so with that, you know, I would challenge you to know how many jobs it truly will create versus loss, and the net loss of jobs overall because of loss of revenue to the community. So then you think about solar fields. Okay, I don't know how many have driven by one, and I would encourage you to. But with that, these panels lay flat. Okay, a lot of the times when they're supposed to be gathering sunlight, they're laying flat. It would be very similar to a paved parking lot. And in fact, the runoff, because of channeling the water across that, is going to be very similar to a 1,000 acre, 2,000 acre parking lot. The current proposed solar farm, solar field, not a farm, solar field around Glenwood in Fayette and Rush County is 2,100 acres total, 492 of that being in Fayette County. With that, when you look at where that lays, and I talked about runoff of a 2,100 acre parking lot, I think you need to really look at what that will do to the town of Glenwood. It actually borders Glenwood on two sides, right up next to the city limits there. So with that, you know, I would encourage you to look at that.
Commissioners, this is Glenwood. Getting y'all out. See what I'm talking about?
Thank you. So the other concern with runoff, because this water is going to be surface water, if panels are damaged in any way, what are the panels made of? What's inside the panels? Is there a chance of toxicity if they're damaged? They are known to be damaged by hail and tornadoes and high winds. Not that we ever have high winds or hail around here. So those can be damaged if the seals are broke on them. I definitely challenge people to do the research on that as well. And I brought up Glenwood, but what I would also encourage the Water Drainage Board. Commissioners, are you the Water Drainage Board? Okay. So when a project like this comes across your desk, I would say do your homework very, very well, because of it's really easy to look at it, and they're going to bring you studies that everything's great, but really look at where the waterways are at, where the main county mains are, how it's going to affect that, and the watersheds and where those are at, and how that runoff of, like I said, a 2,100 acre parking lot basically will affect that. So I talked about runoff, and the other part of it is tile breakdown. Okay, so as you look at a solar farm, solar field, the tile breakdown, they are literally driving pylons several feet deep, thousands of them across the land. So with that, when a tile breaks down, and Dale, you do a little tile work, so you know that that's probably not going to show up for a year or two. And not only on that land, but also adjoining neighbors' land. And this is where it gets interesting, because if it affects adjoining neighbors' land, who's responsible for that? I can personally tell a story of 2 counties over that a young man rented 30 acres next to what went in to be a solar field. They crushed the tiles. The young man reached out to them several times over 2 years. He was not able to farm the farm next to it because of broken down tiles on the solar field. So with that being said, who's responsible for that lost revenue to that grower, to that farmer? Finally got a hold of somebody 2 years later, and they came in and botched it, and still that he was able to get a crop in, but it was 100 bushel less than any other thing that they farmed because of damages done in the field. So there again, I guess I bring that up because it's easy for solar companies to stand up here and say, you know what, hey, we're going to take care of it. We want to be good neighbors. We're going to fix those tiles. We want our neighbors to love us. And it's really easy to make those promises, but do your research on that. I would encourage you all to go to neighboring counties that have them and talk to adjoining landowners, non-participating adjoining landowners. So the fourth thing I'd like to talk about is home values, property values, neighboring property values, adjoining property values. So there have been, it's been noted that there have been negative impacts on home values up to 3 miles within industrial solar fields. The closer the homes are, the higher the impact's going to be. Realtors have stated that up to 30% can be lost on the ones that are close by, on homes that are closer to the solar fields. Realtors have stated that as soon as people find out that there are solar fields surrounding a home or a property, that they've got cancellations of showings because of it. So with this, what I would encourage, and there's other counties doing it, that if solar is going to come into the county, they want to talk about the solar company and stand up here and say it does not affect home values, it does not affect property values negatively to non-participating people. So I would encourage you to do a look into an ordinance of property value guarantees. That the solar companies need to put their money where their mouth is, and if it truly is not going to affect properties negatively, that they something is set up for property value guarantees to the non-participating members. So, and I'm working through these as quick as I can here. So, another concern, if there actually has been one solar field put in, industrial solar plant put in northern Rush County, and road maintenance. As you can imagine, it's a bunch of heavy equipment that goes in and out, and it's destroyed the roads. And yes, there is supposed to be something in place that they would begin replacing those roads as soon as the project was complete. The project has now been completed, and the roads are still atrocious. So that's a big concern. These projects can take 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years to complete. So you can imagine the amount of extra traffic that's going to go up and down those roads, break down the roads. But what's interesting is they talk about the installation, but what they don't talk about is who pays for the road, because guess what? When decommissioning comes around in 35 years and they're going to want to set up a bond or something like that to show that they're covering decommissioning, who pays for the roads then? Because they're going to be needed repaired again. It's all the same equipment going in and out, the same amount of loads going in and out, or out, hopefully. And so, is that going to fall back on the taxpayers? And the net gain for the county up front may wash away really quick with situations like that. So, another concern that we've found out about and heard about, because it is an industrial power plant, that how are fires handled? And so I talked earlier about what's in the panels and concerns of runoff. But with that being said, and being that it will be connected to the grid, the fire plan is currently you have to let them burn. And so with that being said, letting them burn, what does that look like for an evacuation plan? What does that look like for an emergency response plan? There are a lot of unknowns, Something that keeps being brought up is the price they're putting on decommissioning. They're going to give this much to make sure that it gets taken out right. I would challenge you to find where one's been decommissioned and how it went. This is new enough that there aren't any. I would challenge you that the companies coming in to go see their projects. Not just another company's, their projects, and what they've completed and how they look, and talk to neighbors and how good of stewards they were of not only the land, but of others' lands. I've actually got pictures that I can share with you after this. Knox County, Indiana. So one of the big promoters of the solar companies will tell you that the land's going to lay fallow for 35 to 40 years. And after 35 and 40 years, solar panels are going to be removed. And that land's going to be in better shape than it ever was. Better shape than when it went into solar. The interesting part of that is like I said, I've got pictures that I can show you that up in Knox County, they were saying the exact same thing. The day they moved in, the first project they did was scraped off every bit of topsoil and sold it. Not very good stewards of the land. I can assure you, and I think there's enough farmers in here that will agree that if you take that topsoil off, it's never going to be the same as what it was. And also you lose you're going to create more runoff as well as you lose that topsoil and remove it. So another major concern as well. So I mentioned the decommissioning bonds and that, and actually stood at a meeting in Rush County, and a solar company stood up and said, we've got trucks that are going to come in from all around. They want these. Everybody wants these used solar panels for personal use, for whatever it may be. That's not going to be a problem. They're going to disappear. No big deal. Interestingly enough, within a week of that statement, CBS had a report out that 90% of all panels are currently going to landfills because they don't know what else to do with them. So there again, I would ask you to do your research. Where will the waste go with the outdated panels? It's kind of like a computer. A computer's going to lose efficiency, and the day you walk out of the store with it, there's probably a better model and more efficient model out there. And these are going to be the same way. These may get switched over in another 10 years. They may come in and put more efficient solar panels in. So twice the waste, maybe 3 times the waste. And it's a major problem in the U.S. So with that, like I said, it started out with the food security, that hey, we're losing 2,000 acres per day in the United States of productive farmland. And it's about food security. At what point do we become a nation that is no longer food independent and depending on other countries? So I know I just threw a lot at you there, but what I would challenge you with and what I would ask is, because of the unknowns, because of all this stuff we just stated, and what we've learned through all our research and talking to neighboring counties and neighboring communities that have dealt with these, and what that looks like. I would ask Fayette County to look at possibly putting a moratorium until you learn more about it, and make sure that the facts are there and the research is done. So I would ask for a moratorium on solar, at least till we find out more about it and learn more. Any questions? Yes.
With your statistics, do you have, and I know you talked about jobs and the nutrient and what have you, but do you have any statistics about how many acres that have been rented by farmers, only to lose those farmers that are renting to grow food, soybeans, corn, etc. All of a sudden, you know, maybe they went out and bought a tractor, and all of a sudden, the farmer has sold or leased 2 solar panels, and this farmer has no way to continue his farming operation. Do you have any statistics?
I do not. That's a very good point.
That's an excellent point, and I've heard this over in Batesville. You know, that is going on. Large and small farmers who are renting farms are losing their farm ground, their livelihood
Exactly.
to these solar farms, fields. They're not farms.
Yes. Yes.
Solar
Thank you. Thank you. I made a
I
mistake
appreciate
saying
you
that too.
saying that, and I will continue to.
They are industrial solar plants.
Yes.
It is a power plant. The one thing I didn't touch on, I already said thank you, but the one thing I did not touch on is what they will also do is 2 things. They will come in and they will ask for an exemption that it is not changed to industrial ground. It will still stay zoned A1 productive farm ground, so because of tax purposes.
And they'll ask for tax abatement.
That's where I was going next. They will absolutely come in and ask for a tax abatement after that.
Which they've already done in Rush County.
Correct. Yep. Any other questions?
Do you know how much, I guess, between both counties, how many people that have rented to the solar, contracted, whatever, are living on their property?
Yeah, so Rush County, so the Glenwood project that we're talking about here, there is actually one of all Rush County, of that Rush County project that lives in the county. Everybody else is Decatur County residents and just on farm ground up here.
So nobody would live next to the project?
Right, right.
Nobody really wants a, solar plant in their backyard, a nuclear power plant, whatever have you. But they're willing to be absentee to it and get the benefits of it. But just as she stated, the only people that are impacted are not simply the landowners. This goes community-wide, this goes county-wide, this goes statewide. It eventually will be national if they get in the door they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're asking for a moratorium.
I can tell you from a Rush County standpoint, like I said, once one goes in, floodgates open. And right now there are 6 different solar companies trying to sign acres up in Rush County right now. So, not that have been submitted to the county, but that are out trying to get acres signed up. Yes?
Another thing they'll do is they'll approach you and say, everybody around you wants to do this, and they're mad at you because you're not doing it, you're holding them up, and they're so upset with you. They'll do that to you. Because I have a farm in Illinois, and I've been getting hit with this stuff for years and stuff. So I asked him, are they mad at me out there? He goes, no, nobody wants it. Okay, but that's but I don't go out there. But you don't know. You might feel pressured that you don't want your neighbor to hate you.
We absolutely have lived through that experience.
Yeah, so they're not very honest.
You never said anything about a couple of things that came up in Franklin County.
Okay.
One is, it cooks the ground, so there's no minerals left in that ground whatsoever. At 35 years up, it's like clearing the woods. It takes years before it grows a decent crop. Okay? 2, there's been some studies, I've not seen them all, but the carbon they're burning doing it this way over actually doing it by natural gas or coal, they're burning more carbon and running our environment more. So that's something you got to do, is find that study too.
Absolutely, absolutely, thank you.
I think, Kurt, one other point is that, a lot of people might assume that the power that's gained from these factories, I'm not going to call them farms, stays local and benefits the residents, and it does not. Most of the time it's outsourced, not even within the state.
Correct.
So it goes to New York.
And in fact, we, at a meeting at the Glenwood Town Board just a week or so ago, we were told that Glenwood has no input into any of this, and if the water problems that it creates come to the town, it's gonna fall on the homeowners. Which we're gonna go back onto the town board and say, hey, what? But the attorney for the town didn't seem to think we had much hope of having a leg to stand on with that, so.
But it's not, and I guess
We've lived in
I'll
Glenwood for
clarify
40
that, right.
years, and we've had water problems when we moved in. Our first year, we had over 3 feet of water standing in the basement. It was because of drainage. They got that taken care of, they rerouted it. And now we're semi-dry, but it still gets a little squishy every now and then when we have
Yeah.
really heavy rain. But if we get a bunch dumped on us, we're gonna be floating.
We'll be right back up there.
Yeah, so that's a cost I don't wanna incur again.
that town attorney probably looked familiar to you, I bet.
Yes, he does.
Okay. What the main thing was, the town doesn't get a vote on this. The town does, they are a part of the Rush County APC. I don't believe they are a part of the Fayette County APC.
That's correct.
But they get a member appointed to the APC in Rush County and a member appointed to the BZA in Rush County. So that's essentially their voice. But as a town board, this is a planning issue and not a town board issue. So they didn't get a say.
I'm still
Hey, yes, for these.
confused about that, but that might be a Glenwood Town Board issue, as in what power do they have? They're telling us we're residents of the town, and they write ordinances for us, but then when it comes time to protect us from something like this, they've not got a voice.
Well, but that's similar to zoning. Just like this board they won't accept or approve an application. They'll be a part of the collateral agreements, the contracts, but they won't actually, if there's an application before the Board of Zoning Appeals, they won't actually approve that.
They can make recommendations.
Kind of, and I'll tell you, I represent a lot of area planning commissions, and I believe that they should listen to their commissioners. These are the elected officials. The APC and BZA are not elected officials generally. So, yeah, I get your frustrations. The other thing to think about with the town of Glenwood, while all this, in your opinion, impacts the town of Glenwood, I'm not sure if any of it's actually in the town of Glenwood.
No.
Yeah.
It
So
would be
that's the other
planning
reason the
and
town of Glenwood wouldn't be able to have any input into it. But that's not, in Indiana, there's planning and zoning commissions, and those are the entities that usually are in charge of this. Just like the,
It may
just,
not be within the town of Glenwood, but it's within 250 feet or 30 feet of the town of Glenwood. That's pretty close.
I understand that, but there's no legal remedy, in my
I understand
opinion,
what you're saying.
to the
But
town of
at the same
Glenwood.
time,
Right.
it's our neighbor.
Well, that's if they consider the water runoff and, what's gonna actually happen to the people that are living there.
But like I said, the town of Glenwood does have a member on the Area Planning Commission, and they do have a member on the Board of Zoning Appeals. So, I mean, that's their voice, that's their,
Do you know who those are?
Maybe, but we're
I
in
do.
Fayette County.
I have a question. How long did they expect these solar panels, how long is the life expectancy of them?
Of the actual
Of the
panel?
actual panel, before it has
so-
to be put into the landfill?
And there's different numbers out there, but it's, right now, it looks like they're turning them over about every 10 to 12 is what we've read so far, found out so far. But like I said, that's all gonna depend on efficiencies, and as, they're not a very efficient source of power anyways. When you start to look at what they're actually getting paid on wattage-wise compared to what they advertise the solar plants for, is very, very minimal. So anytime they're gonna be able to gain efficiencies to sell more power to the power company, they're gonna jump on that to turn these panels.
And 90% of them go into the landfill?
That's right now,
That's a
90%
record.
of them. Correct.
And they're not able to recycle or anything to that effect?
It's a very expensive process.
So with that being said, say they last 12 years, they'll be replaced within a 30, 40-year project. They'll probably be replaced 3 times.
They could be replaced
That means
3 or 4 times, absolutely.
the hauling in and hauling out, hauling in of new and hauling out of old Cedar roads are going to be tore up. Again, maybe not as badly as they
I
were
think
like
that's
when they were
expensive.
installed, but it, you know, do they pay for the roads to be repaired 3 times or 4 times in the
Yep.
40 years?
Absolutely.
One other point is just that the $30 million figure, that the 2,000 acres, 2,100 acres would be losing over the term of the lease is just that. It's just over the term of the lease. We're not talking about the nearly permanent, I mean, for my lifetime, it will be permanent, taking of the ground. Future generations won't be able to farm it, because of the raping and pillaging of the ground, for lack of a better term. So that's something to consider, the financial loss to the counties and the surrounding areas and the families, for the long term.
Any other questions, concerns? Thank you. Kurt?
Yeah, I just want to, thank you, Mr. Daly.
Absolutely. Well, nice to meet you. Thank you.
But, well, first thing I have is that, how many of y'all have actually seen and have a copy of the Fayette County ordinance? Okay, I do have some extra copies. So, please at least familiarize yourself with what the Fayette County Area Planning Commission attempted to do as far as protecting things. So, now, the way the process, I'm really just here to describe what happens with the process. As Mr. Westland pointed out, is that the Fayette County Commissioners, they adopted the ordinance. This ordinance is now part of the zoning code. The decision is made by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Okay, now, what you have with it is the petitioner and also remonstrators have the same obligation under Indiana code to provide fact-based data. So, so they have that obligation. You, Mr. Naylor, will also have that same obligation under the Indiana code. And so that's, and as previously mentioned, it also indicates in there some of the different things like drainage or highway agreements along those lines that the county commissioners are involved with. So that might answer some of the questions you have procedurally and what's in the actual ordinance. And then when it comes time for the public hearing, you need to then have other data that you need to gain, say, counter or whatever, for the zoning board of zone appeals to consider. Now, the sooner that they have it in their hands, the more time they can absorb it, the better. That's what, so, well, for example, when the time comes, that it's submitted. Now, it would not be probably the next possible meeting because there's going to be a lot of information. You, as the actual property owners, will also have the same opportunity to then gather your information, then put together a demonstrators package of how then they demonstrate, the petitioner has to demonstrate that they meet the legal criteria in the zoning code. You have the same obligation to show how it does not. So this is where it comes into things that are countervailing, okay, data. So that's all the zoning board can make a decision on, is the data, the facts and the data. I mean, people come up with things that are motion, but the zoning board cannot make a decision based on motion-based arguments. You have to have data. Okay? So,
Bill, who does the ordinance get challenged with?
What's
If
that?
someone wants to challenge the ordinance to get it changed, who is that with?
okay, now if you want to get changes to the actual ordinance, okay, either the Area Plan Commission can initiate the process, the county commissioners can initiate the process, or the actual city of Connersville can initiate the process. But then, so the Plan Commission would have to agree with it. Okay, this is what we want to say, request to be amended, the county commissioners, if there's something else in their deliberations, thoughts about it that, well, we might like to see something different in it. As it currently stands, unless something else, what you have right here is what needs to be submitted and then how zoning board has to consider it.
So we could ask the commissioners for a change.
Yeah, what I would recommend if you're going to do so is don't just say we would like to do such and such, but have some details for them.
Yeah.
Because they would need details, I would need details, and from a purely selfish perspective, since I'm a one-person shop and I'm not moving around very well, but the more that you have, because some of these things can take an awful lot of research, because it's it was one problem, up to about 2 years, and then trying to research, looking at other ordinances, other things that are happening elsewhere. So what you would probably see is the ordinance that greatly influenced us, because it's probably one of the better ones in Indiana, also is the one in Marshall County. Then you would also then compare with, for example, with us versus the other counties, is you look at the details of what they also have. So, but that's pretty much it right there. So I'm here as a process and a procedure guy. I'm just the go-between with everybody with information. So people know if I have questions, I'll answer questions. But a lot of people have dealt with me in the past and they have a question. Now what you can also do if you want to, you can also communicate with me via email. And Mr. Naylor, I apologize for not really getting back to you the way I wanted to. But because what I also have is I can also then request by email, I can also send you electronic copies of the Fayette County ordinance. Okay? But I really do my best to respond as promptly as I can, but unfortunately, it's like everybody else is like, I don't always have the opportunity, and some things, unfortunately, they sort of slip. I don't like to admit it, but that's the reality. Commissioners, have anything you want to ask me?
Well, we've all heard about this Glenwood solar project. Where does it stand now? Has there been any actual application?
No, we have not had an application, and my understanding is that their action, what they do in Fayette County, is going to be dependent upon what the result is in Rush County.
To clarify though, I think that could be kind of confusing. There has been an application in Rush County for the majority of this, what we're calling the Glenwood application. It is being heard on the first Wednesday in July, which is the 5th.
It's one way to celebrate your 4th. But so until the decision is made there, I won't end up hearing anything.
Well,
Can you explain to me why Fayette County is going to follow Rush County? Why would they do
Because
that?
the part of it that's in Fayette County that's what includes the substation. So their investments involved are contingent upon, the Fayette County investments are contingent upon whether they get to move forward in Rush County. Because it's a smaller areas devoted to the solar panels. So what happens there, whether it would kill a project, I don't know. Whether they have to then scramble around to look for other alternatives, I don't know. I don't, of course, read their minds. And until something comes to me, it's like that, and a petition lands on my desk, I have no idea.
Isn't that getting the cart before the horse? If the substation's in Fayette County,
Well,
they get it approved in Rush County,
well,
they can't sell their power unless they go through
because
Fayette
that's why
County.
the projects will happen there, the projects will happen here. Because actually it's not the cart before the horse, because if you build a substation and, you aren't going to have anything to come into the substation to sell, that's a huge, big waste of money. So, it's and from the start, it's always been my discussions with them, I think discussions that I have with the county commissioners. The Rush County proposal, Fayette County was contingent upon the Rush County proposal. Because that's kind of the way it has to work. It tends to work when you have multi-county projects, proposals.
Why does it say
What
no?
happens if we
Why?
just say no?
Well, because they have to work on it because of,
Why can't Fayette County go ahead and move forward with,
well, that's the
you know,
petition, that's,
their stance on
that's
it, I
the,
guess,
that's
is
the
what-
petitioner's decision.
Oh,
Yeah, that's their decision of how it's gonna do it. We don't initiate the projects, we just hear the project. The zoning board will then hear the proposal, you'll hear the petitioner, who are the remonstrators, they'll have the data in hand, and then they consider then their decision at that point.
That's not to say that Fayette County can't act and change the ordinance or do something.
or look into a possible moratorium.
Correct. They
Yes.
just can't, what they
No,
can.
I understand. You
the-
clarified.
The application,
Yeah.
right.
Sure, thank you.
Who's in charge of setting the moratorium?
Okay.
How do we start that process? Because I believe he just asked, like, when we start that process, so how
Not the
would we
finger
go
point,
about
but
that?
those three folks.
Yeah. And now, the thing with the moratorium is that they have to be very specific on the moratorium. You just can't say we're gonna have a moratorium over, say, these type of wind projects. You have to have very specific language in the moratorium. You have to have a very specific end date. They cannot be open-ended. So that's also the thing with when you do a moratorium. It's it isn't always an easy thing to do well and then pass, shall we say, legal muster with the courts. So there's a lot of things that have to go into making sure your moratorium is actually legal.
So is that something we would need to get developed as a community that is against it, or is that something that the
Well,
commissioners would get developed?
Actually, if, without any information, then it's up to the county commissioners whether they want to go down that track. And then between me and then also Mr. Westling's help to figure out how it needs to be phrased and then the time frame for it. Because the only time we had one was almost 20 years ago on billboards. What we had is that for this X period of time, we had 18 months to then, the moratorium was 18 months, in order to allow the Area Planning Commission to prepare the actual language for the new sign code. Because the sign code, because, you know, these things have to happen, and then so there's to meet changes in federal case law, which is what called for that. So you have to do it within the next period of time to do so.
For clarification
Yeah.
as well, so like this project here, they have not submitted application yet, but if they were to submit the application and then the moratorium came, this would be grandfathered in, correct?
Exactly, the moratorium has to be in place even before application is made, which is my understanding.
The same thing would happen with ordinance changes.
Right, correct.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Now, it's just a minor detail. What's the state?
Oh, that's what you're saying now.
No. What's state agricultural community, the committee up there at the State House?
I honestly have no idea what the impressions of the legislative committee or the agricultural committee, what their thoughts are.
I think we probably ought to get that.
Well, that might be one thing also, is if there's enough people, then then another one is, what is the actual, now one thing that'll be influence on it is, what is the actual take from the Farm Bureau on solar energy? So they'll so are they in favor of it, are they not in favor, or are they waffling?
Well, I know I'm going up there this year to get my 100th and 150 year, my family's building that farm.
Yeah.
And they support that. So I can't see where.
Well, it's like I said, is that there's a lot of things that go into making a political decision at the state level of the state legislature. I mean, it's never simple. It's always difficult.
No, it's complicated.
Yeah, it's the proverbial sausage machine.
So I can speak just a little bit to the Indiana Farm Bureau. So they have been very quiet on this. They've been sending out surveys and such. Talked to someone yesterday that had spent time up there in Indianapolis with them in the past week, and they are getting ready to put some language together for a bill for farmland preservation, because they see that we are losing productive
Well,
farmland.
don't get me wrong, and I'm preaching to the choir, but we're taking, I got 7 generations that's lived on this farm and made a living from this farm, and all at once now you can't do this. I mean, you don't have that, once you sign it up, it's over.
Yeah, well, so like I said, there's a lot of things that go into it, so It's state legislature.
And I know that's talking from here, not, and that's
Oh,
talking
oh,
from
yeah,
here, not,
yeah.
not.
Oh, I understand where you're coming from with that, is, you know, I could very easily have the, same feelings if I was, emotionally involved in this. And I do my best to remain, okay, like I said, my job is to facilitate, and I really do my best. And I think I do a good job because my job is just, I've got to stay in the middle. And my job is not really to take a side.
My question really wasn't directed towards you as far as the
Oh,
state
I
agriculture.
understand
It was
that.
directed towards them guys right there, for them to find out more information before we ever make any decisions.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
And it's like I
kinda
said,
going
is that as it currently stands, is that matters at hand will lay in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals, the County Board of Zoning Appeals.
I got a question to ask Kurt. You said that over 2,100 acres signed up in Rush County. Only one of them lived.
Yeah.
So how many farms or how many different, on that 2,100 acres, how many owners do we have?
5 families.
Five families. There's only one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
In Rush
The rest of them all live in Decatur.
And
There's actually 3 in Vic.
Yes.
Data is key, data and facts.
Exactly.
What constitutes a legit source? Would
Okay.
Kurt's
Well,
Purdue
what would
survey-
need to be either be, okay, a study. Okay, so what it would be is I'll have to step back in time a little bit to give you an actual real world example we had here in Fayette County. Now, it was for the proposed wind farm. Now, they had a huge amount of study that was crunched by the energy. Okay, the real estate, the data in University of San Diego, California. Now I'm trying to think what it was, but it's it's associated with, but the actual data was crunched by I'm trying to think what it is. They also do a lot of federal numbers with federal projects. And there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of data points. The only thing the opponent had with it was a estimate from an Indiana appraiser. Well, the appraiser really didn't have the data, so if you have to rely on data, what you're gonna go with, which one has the most.
Sure.
And that's the sort of thing. This is where we get into people who are familiar with the term peer-reviewed studies.
Yes.
That's also critical for any data that's actually provided, because it means it's gone through and actual other members of the same academic profession. And they say, okay, we can agree with the data, we can agree with the conclusions, and that kind of thing. The other one that you really look for is also meta studies. Those are the ones that pull, probably most of them familiar with meta studies from health. Because, in order to say, okay, what's happening right here, so there's this study here, this study here, this study here. And what it's attempting to do, it pulls in more data, which might not necessarily have a lot of data points to support it, but the more data that you actually have, it increases the, understand that because of the reinforcement of a certain perspective, they become stronger together.
Commissioners, if I may, I think we've established here that we have a lot of data points to collect. Mr. McDaniel has established that as being the sort of facilitator for the APC, is my understanding. I think at this time, we would ask formally for an expedited moratorium for a minimum of 18 months, so that we have time to collect this data point. I know personally this takes a lot of time, studies, appraisals, things to back up all of the data that we know is there, but we don't have, I don't have numbers to present to you today. I'm hopeful to have them in 18 months. So we would ask, because we know an application's coming, because they're already in Rush County, so we know they're going to be coming to Fayette County. just as Mr. McDaniel said, we've got the substation plan. So we would ask for the moratorium to be set so that we can not have to grandfather in that first applicant and open the floodways.
I would suggest though that you don't make that decision now, because you don't, you really want to need to consider everything that really needs to be considered in the moratorium. I'm not being negative towards you. What I'm really trying to do with this is I'm concerned also about making sure everything with Fayette County, if the decision is to propose a moratorium, that everything is done in a manner it really is that's legal.
I guess my,
Yeah, so it won't be thrown out, and the other aspect of that you have to be careful thinking is, and there's always the issue of damages of something that is.
Bill, if we were to look at putting a moratorium on or also changing the ordinance wording, does that all have to be done completely before someone brings a petition? Or
Yes.
can it be in the works and
Yeah,
not let it grandfather?
it has to be in place before a petition. So for example, is that one of the things, I doubt it would happen with this, but what has happened in the past with some jurisdictions is that, okay, I mean, because before a moratorium or something kicks in, is that you can actually see a bundle of petitions. But of course, also with the petition, they also have to have all the data and all the information they need with it. So I really can't see that happening with this.
So Bill, can we get a copy of all your data that you compiled for the ordinance?
Yeah, I'll have to pull things together out of my files, but yeah.
quick question. So they're going to a meeting in Rushville on the first Wednesday in July. Who's to say that they're not going to come here after that approval? That's not a risk I'm willing to take with anything on my property or my surrounding area. So I just don't think that that's a risk that we should be willing to take. I think an emergency moratorium is most certainly something that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, well, I'd say that that's something with the commissioners and also by
So I think.
so there's things that need to be taken into consider with that, but like I said, you need to have exactly what that moratorium is going to be.
I don't think that will be hard to draw up. I think that this is sort of an emergency situation because we see it coming. And we need to get it stopped before. I mean, if the first guy gets in, here they come, you know? The damage has been done. So I think, I don't know what your suggestion is, Mr. McDaniel, but I mean, I don't want to rush, obviously, the commissioners to a decision, but I think time is definitely of the essence here. And that's just not in our favor, but it's for, you know, we're here on behalf of the counties and the communities, the families, and we just need time to do our research. And if we don't get a moratorium soon and an application gets submitted, like I said, the fire has started and it's coming in.
I will speak from experience on within Rush County because we've been working over there as well. As we stand up and ask a lot of these questions and done the research and our attorneys presented, and with that, I'm going to make an assumption here, but there are a lot of unanswered questions that the commissioners, the ABC over there, are looking at the solar company going, we didn't know that. And so this is for your benefit as well. This isn't just us saying, hey, we want this shut down. We're asking for this for you guys to do your homework as well.
Everybody needs time to do their research.
To make sure it's truly right for the community.
And I personally am fearful that there's someone, you know, ready to file tomorrow with an application, at the minimum, you know, July 5th, with an application, and we will not have had our moratorium in place, so that we don't have time to do our homework. And then we're in a pickle.
So if this moratorium wasn't put into place, the only other option, for lack of wording, that you would have would be to get the BZA to deny it. Am I?
That would be it, yeah. The thing is that you'd have to have sufficient data then for the BZA to then reject the petition.
Can I ask a question, another question? How long have you known that this was coming in the works?
Okay, the first conversation that anybody had is, do you recall about how long ago the first time those people were with the commissioners?
That's been too long ago for me to remember when it was.
Yeah, it's,
Over a year, maybe?
yeah, it's been a year, but nothing was firm until just,
No, but I did notice that your ordinance that you wrote dealing with the solar thing was confirmed on the 6th of September of 2022.
Yep.
So what I'm going there is you had time to do your data collection. I didn't find out about this until just, a couple, 3 weeks ago. What happened to go to the Glenwood Town Board meeting? So I think we need some time to mount a counter offense here, or at least get time to do the fact finding.
yeah, well, yeah, because
They weren't giving you the facts from this side.
Okay.
They're giving
Well,
you the
okay.
facts from their side.
this is separate from this petition. The ordinance and the petition are two different creatures.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you got an ordinance just a few months before this is
Okay.
public.
Okay, we
I'm
first
not
started
saying
talking.
anything's wrong with
Okay,
it,
no,
but it just came up.
Okay, no. We first started talking about an ordinance even before these people came up. There's Commissioner Munson and I, we went to there's a meeting, a seminar, it was in Muncie, it was probably about, how long have you been on the commissioners?
This is my third year.
Third year.
So it's been
So,
a year and a
yeah,
half,
because
2 years.
it was within, very shortly after Commissioner Munson, came on as a commissioner.
Okay.
And so the idea is that to look and adopt an ordinance before anything is proposed.
Right. But
And-
at
okay,
that time,
yeah.
solar panels, solar was the up and coming thing that everybody was even excited about.
And, okay, yeah, because the other thing that happens is that, some places, if you don't have an ordinance, you don't see anything. But so the conference we went to was, about solar ordinances, what it is, solar energy. So it just laid the groundwork for who we did, what we talked to, looking at some of the different ordinances. But we started talking about this before we knew anything about these guys from the people with this solar company. So we were working on this before that, because the Area Plan Commission was actually working on the language for that. It was probably a year and a half, maybe as long as 2 years before it was adopted. So it's not something that you don't put it together, because I think as Leota was on the Plan Commission at the time also, and that as Leota and then also Commissioner Munson can vouch for us, that a lot of time was put into this. I mean, it wasn't just a throw it together type thing. And so there's deliberations on a monthly basis with the Area Plan Commission at their meetings, as far as, okay, what's the progress, what about this? Went through a process where we looked at one part at a time. Okay, what about this part? So we go through the actual ordinance, we go through the language. So it's like I said, this ordinance was not in reaction to this project.
Well, okay, first, I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing.
Well, honestly,
But the first sentence here says, the regulation of solar energy systems, farms, facilities, and other solar devices, blah, 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 is designed to protect public health, welfare, and safety. Yeah. Well,
okay. Yeah.
when you got water running everywhere, that's gonna cause health problems.
Well, that's why there's certain requirements required, drainage plans that need to be submitted. So these are the things that are then put together and then for the zoning board. So like I said, what you're referring to right there, that is one of the things that the Board of Zone Appeals will take into consideration, because when you look at the details in there with what's required in the site plans, other documentation, you'll see that that is something that is in there. So I would suggest that people please read these, please read them thoroughly. Okay? And that'll make it, that'll be better than before asking me questions or, yes. Hey, Don.
Hey, I got concern, I guess, or a
Yeah.
comment to make. I was involved years ago when we were trying to get confined hold units in the county. Fought hard. And the county come up with an ordinance, or the BZA did, had to be so many feet setback, so much setback from towns and from schools, churches, cemeteries. Now, why can't they do the same for the solar panels? I mean, they take the farmers out of it with the CAFOs because it's almost impossible to build a home unit. right
Are
in
you
the county.
aware that the?
Now they're trying to take the farm ground away from
Okay.
them.
Are you aware then that there's a drastic change with the confined feeding operation rules?
With the right to farm act, is that what you're
Okay.
referring to?
No.
I've been out since I've been out.
Okay, no. Fayette County then, it was, what, a year and a half ago, I think. It's the end of the previous year. Okay, significantly changed confined feeding rules because they were so restrictive. So, it's that. That was a response to that. What your concern with that is. All right?
What's where I'm coming from with this deal?
Huh?
You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I see what,
Farmers take a hit back.
I see exactly where you're coming from, Tom. And which is why we put the effort and the time into then revising those specific rules.
Are you a farm owner, Mr. Dave?
No, I'm not.
Do you reside in the city limits?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, which ultimately really is an irrelevant question to me.
It's not though.
Yes, it is to me, because I'm there in the middle. I facilitate information. I don't have,
You say that you don't have an opinion, but it seems to me that you very much have an opinion. No.
my opinion was with the ordinance.
You do.
Okay, fine. So if you
So
think I have
I
opinion.
don't know if we're looking at recusal of you from the APC for this particular matter or what, but it seems to me that you've taken a lot of our appointed agenda time to discuss and request an emergency moratorium for valid concerns. You pointed out that we need several data points, which you have had time to acquire at least since September of 2022, which is 9 months. We have all become aware of this. I became aware of this 1 week ago.
Okay.
I have not had time to gather my data points. That's our point to request a moratorium here today.
So, Bill, I'll just take over.
Okay.
One, I don't think
Would you
Amy,
just put the microphone up, please?
I usually talk loud enough, I don't need a microphone.
That's better, thank you.
All right, usually I think I talk loud enough. So just to kind of nip this whole emergency moratorium in the butt, while I say it's on these guys, they can't today just say, we're gonna give a moratorium, okay? So what it's, Indiana law, in my opinion, case law has found that it is an actual change in the zoning code, okay? It is a change when you do a moratorium. I don't agree with that. I think there is a use for temporary moratoriums. This is not Indiana law. The judges have said no, it doesn't. So they have to go through the same exact procedures they would to change an ordinance. Now it can be expedited. And when I say expedited, they can make a referral, or the APC can make their own decision, which I would probably not encourage an APC to do a moratorium. Okay, I would without the commissioners advising them. Again, it goes back to my theory on elected officials should be making those kind of decisions, right? Well, let's say hypothetically they tell the APC they're very interested in a moratorium. Then it would go to the APC, who actually meets Thursday, as luck would have it, and they would have to advertise for 10 days because it would be a public hearing for that moratorium. Okay, so they would have to advertise for 10 days. They would then either pass one or not. They would send it to the commissioners, and the commissioners would approve that or reject it. Okay, so when I say it's up to these three, it is up to these three, but I think we're getting awful excited about, hey, in 12 minutes they're going to say we're going to ban them. And we can't. I'm not going to advise them to do that. There's been several cases where that's happened, and these folks have lost. They've said, hey, you can't do that, and not only that, you got to pay the attorney fees, which gets crazy. Okay, so I'm not going to advise them to try to do something like that, just kind of as a heads up. But there is a process that could be expedited in the next couple weeks. Okay, that's a possibility. Okay, and that's maybe the emergency we're getting to. I want to keep this civil too. One of my jobs has always been as the lawyer is to protect my folks, right? And Mr. McDaniel may have thoughts and opinions like every planning commissioner in the state of Indiana has, but I don't think he's done anything that should make him get personally attacked. So let's kind of chill out on that. Okay?
I wasn't, to clarify, I wasn't personally attacking Mr. McDaniel. I was just.
I understand. You were being zealous advocate, and I appreciate that. But I'm just going to reiterate, we're gonna chill out on that. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Are you the attorney for the APC in Fayette County too?
I am.
Yes.
So you're the county attorney for Fayette County?
Sure.
You're the county attorney for Rush County?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
You're the city attorney for Rushville?
Nope.
APC.
You were just APC?
I represent the APC in Rush and Fayette County.
APC, Rush, Fayette, county.
And I have the
attorney.
beauty of not a single person in this room can tell you they think they know what I like or don't like about it. I can guarantee you.
I wasn't asking that, but, and you're also the Glenwood attorney?
Correct.
Okay.
Glenwood's the least relevant. I hate to say it to the folks at Glenwood. You're my people. I love you.
Thank you.
I love you. But as far as the town, my representation of that town board, they just really have nothing to do with this, other than they could join one side or the other.
I have a
And
point to
then,
make on that.
yes.
You said that, you're saying we don't have an opinion on the APC. If you put a pool in, you're my neighbor, you have to go to the APC and get a permit. I have a right to go to that meeting and say that I don't want you to have a pool.
Absolutely. Just like you're going to be able to have that right during these applications.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
what I'm saying here.
And the town board members, I will tell you, when town board members appear and they speak for or against, that has a little bit more weight. Elected officials have a little bit more weight. So yes, I would encourage you absolutely to talk to your town board members. And I'm just saying they don't have a direct vote in the thing. But where they do have a vote is they have appointed someone to be on those boards.
Right.
How many members are on the Fayette County BZA? Five.
Just and the same will be exact number for Rush County.
And the APC as well?
9.
Nine on
The
both.
APC is not involved with this. Yes. They do not make a recommendation to the Board of Zoning.
The APC is more the legislative branch, if you will, like a way to think of it. And the BZA is kind of the judges. They're the ones that approve or deny applications. So the BZA in both counties will be the ones that decide on the application. Now, the APC in Fayette County, if you're asking for a moratorium, they're your that's where it will start.
Is APC then?
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the APC or the county?
I thought,
Okay, so the APC initiate, just like passing any ordinance. Say they want to change something to where in the county you have to have so many parking spaces per home or something silly, right? The APC or the BZA or the commissioners can initiate it. Really, it's the APC initiates it, and then the commissioners approve it. And there's no point in getting the APC all worked up, and you got 3 folks here that are against that because they get full power.
So then,
The APC can't pass anything in the whole wide world that these folks disagree with.
so then, no disrespect, but then why is he so concerned
So,
today, or
so,
why is he
so I'll tell you why. I'll
give
tell
them
you why.
information?
I'll tell you why.
I
I'll
don't
tell you,
mean
no, I'll tell you why.
disrespect,
Right or
but
wrong?
it
No,
just
it's
seems like-
simple. It's very simple. It's a very simple thing, and it's if we take emotion out of it, it's a rational, reasonable thing. You'll understand. Bill is a part of committees that pass that review ordinances, look at ordinances, push ordinances through, right? And so he's got a little bit of pride in the ordinance. Just like every planning commissioner in the state of Indiana has, they believe in their ordinances. They'd feel kind of silly if they were the planning commissioner and they did not. They thought their ordinances were terrible, right? They feel really silly.
Okay.
So he's passed. So he's been he's not passed because he doesn't even get a vote. His opinion on these are irrelevant because this gentleman right here never gets to vote on any of them. Okay, he's like me, but he's got some pride in it. He believes in it. So
then
what
there's
he's
a little
saying
bit of
is,
emotion that's playing in.
I hope it's not
his
emotion,
opinion.
but Bill tends to be an emotional gentleman, but he's a fine gentleman nonetheless. But he believes in his ordinances. Okay.
Okay.
Right or wrong, he does, and even when he doesn't necessarily agree with it, actually. Okay, but once it's part of his ordinance, it's his.
Yeah, I
So
get
if
that.
he's coming across as emotional
So
or
his
favoring one
pure
side,
emotion then, not really, he really doesn't,
Yeah.
I mean,
I hear you.
It's moot, I mean, it's moot essentially, right? Like,
It's absolutely moot. His opinion of if he thinks solar is the greatest things in the whole wide world or the worst things in the whole wide world
then I take
is
back my
irrelevant.
refusal comment.
Yeah, because he can't vote.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
He can't vote one way
I
or the
appreciate
other.
the mea culpa.
He can't vote one way or the other. And certainly if he had some financial gain that could come from this, then I would have him outside of this process completely, but he doesn't. So his opinion is irrelevant. It's as irrelevant as mine is.
But don't you think when he made that statement, all 3 of them was listening to what he was saying?
his recommendation.
Oh, I think Bill likes to think they listen to him, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm used to proposals I make, not making it past muster, either the plan commission or with the commissioners. So what I recommend to them, it isn't rubber stamped.
I will tell you that the CAFO ordinance that we were speaking of, that I was a part of, the truth is when that process started and we caught a lot of heat, Fayette County essentially had an ordinance that said you're never going to have a CAFO in Fayette County. Just not going to do it. the ordinance is still pretty daggone tricky to get, but it's at least possible now, okay? One of the commissioners came to every single meeting and spoke out against it and against them, okay? So no, I don't think the commissioners are just, well, whatever Bill says with planning, I'm gonna agree with, okay?
So real
It's a
quick,
give and take relationship I have with them. And
back to the
also-
moratorium
Yes.
request. So you said a while ago that they meet on Thursday, so
They
there's the commissioners need to put in a request to the APC meeting, is that correct? Is that how I
If
understood
they're
that?
so desired,
Okay.
that would be a great way to initiate that one way or
Okay.
the other.
So that's why I wanted to make sure. So how do we, like, have we done what is needed to ask for that? I guess is where I'm trying to go. I don't know.
That's up to this lady. and
I
me.
think that's, I mean, it's wrapping up on 4:30 here. I don't want to take your whole afternoon, so I assume you guys have lives
I
outside of
do have a
it.
question to Kurt, Bill. You made the comment that, when one catches fire, you can't put it out. Or it's hard to put
Yeah,
out.
yeah, so
Okay.
because they cannot just cut the power off from the electric, from the power.
Okay, so it's really close to Glenwood. So Glenwood could be destroyed if one of them would catch fire.
And that's, I mean, that's a major concern, and you can look up all the data that says, well, these solar panels only catch fire, I forget what the number is, I'm not gonna throw it out there, but it's a very small portion. But what they don't mention is, think about the amount of grass fires that Glenwood goes on every single year, that are happening in Fayette County and Rush County. And these are 2,100 acres that are high fenced, under lock and key, and there is nothing we can do.
So are, like, these firemen, do they have any training, what?
That's a great question.
And who pays for that training?
I can answer to some of that. The company has told the fire departments that they will have training on how to handle fires inside the fence. And in most cases, they will be given keys to get inside the fences to get to the fire.
So the companies have already met with our fire departments?
No, just in conversation. There's been a couple of their representatives come to these meetings, and those type of questions have been, I've asked them. I mean, when I've never seen one of these, I
Well,
said, how we handle
especially
it.
to your
So
point,
that's what they
Glenwood
tell us.
supports Fayette and Rush counties. And they're steps ahead of us in Rush County.
So if these catch fire, are they toxic?
That I can't answer
That
any,
is-
other than they told us there would be training. That's as far as we went with
And
it.
my understanding is, to interject a little bit on that, putting fire out on them, is like Kurt said, it's tied directly to the transmission lines. So this project will not have storage batteries, to our understanding. There will not be big banks of batteries. These solar panels are hooked directly to that big power line across this 44 at Glenwood. So from that being said,
I'm thinking water.
it's our understanding that is the protocol, is let it burn. Because of the fact that it's tied directly to the transmission.
Correct.
Their protocol is to let them burn.
I think we need to get back to Amanda's question. Will you guys do something between now and Thursday night to beat the APC?
I think that's our request. We have a lot of data points to collect. I mean, their insurance, what's insurance going to cost on neighboring properties, is that, lots of things to collect, and so formally that is our request.
Two questions for Jeff.
Too low there.
Question for you. The moratorium, does that have to come from the commissioners, or can their representatives come to the APC meeting Thursday and request it?
They could, I will be honest with you though, because yes, they can. The board's gonna look at me and I'm gonna have a hard time advising them with no other direction. I'm just being straight up with you.
So it's my understanding that the APC would much prefer the commissioners to have.
I don't know if they would, it would be my
Responded.
direction, but again, I always defer to elected officials to make decisions like that. Now, that's not to say you might have a very appreciative APC group that will not care what the commissioners say. But
And really what we're asking for is here is a shot to get our intel together.
And I want to reiterate that it gives you, everybody within the commissioners to do their homework and make sure it is right for the community. Not just for us, but for the entire community.
But you said to request the moratorium that you had to have specific
Yeah,
there has to be a sunset date. And what the purpose of the moratorium is, and then what the sunset date is.
So like an 18-month, 24-month,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
so until June 30th, 2025.
And the purpose would be to gather facts.
For both sides, really, to have a chance to fact gather, but we're sort of at a disadvantage here. And not sort of, we're at a disadvantage here for our side to head this off, and we're just asking to level the playing field a little bit.
Does the commissioner set the end date, or does the APC set that?
We're not, you wouldn't be doing any of that today.
Right, that's what I thought he said earlier. We can't
Really,
do
you'd
that.
just be saying we're advising the APC to look into a
Yeah, that's
moratorium.
what we can say.
Or could they recommend that they support, if they should, a moratorium or not, to the APC?
They can, but that kind of gives it, I'm thinking litigation-wise, okay? That's the way my
Yeah,
mind
go
always
ahead.
works.
Me too.
My fear is then they're kind of making a decision prior to a public hearing, and I don't want anybody making a decision prior to. Do you see what I'm saying? They're kind of, it's one thing to say, we want them to look into we want them to look at a
We advise
moratorium.
them to,
Because they're gonna ultimately make the final decision anyway.
okay,
So even if they don't make a decision today, which kind of takes them off the hook pretty heavy today,
right.
they can have the APC discuss it, and then they, at the end of the day, get to review the APC's
So then,
decision.
maybe we need to amend our, Kurt, jump in here, Kurt. We need to amend our request to have you guys kick it to the APC, say, we'll take it under advisement, and then we'll kick it back to them at their next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, next month.
APC is Thursday.
Thursday, so what,
Thursday,
so,
but
so
when is
just
your
procedurally,
I was just trying to.
if they were to do this, they would advise the APC to have to discuss a moratorium.
Yes,
The APC then would have to schedule a public hearing on the subject.
correct.
And they would have to give 10-day notice. So the
notice,
quickest
right.
that hearing could happen would be 10 days from Thursday.
Correct.
Okay? And they'd have to have a special session because they only meet once a month.
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, following that is when they would then either approve, reject it, or send it back to the APC for revision.
Could the commission,
We would request exactly what you just said.
yes, we would like to order 2 of those, please.
And then they'll let, then it gets delivered Thursday, recommended the APC, have 10-day notice.
Can the
and
commission-
a special meeting.
Could this commission suggest to the APC that we hold a special hearing? That they meet,
Quicker than the 1 month?
Yes.
Sure.
that would be our request today.
Does that 18 months have to be put in?
It would be in the moratorium. That would be our request.
Would it be this Thursday that they request the APC to put the 18 months in?
It won't take place, it would not be in effect Thursday. And I know our concern specifically, but projects like this aren't hey, we're gonna apply in 2 days to beat the moratorium. But they would not, that decision would not be made Thursday. No decision Thursday would be made on what period of time of and what the essentially caps were of this thing.
Due to the urgency of this matter, would the commission be open to holding a special hearing after the APC's scheduled meeting?
I don't know. I've got, I'm learning a lot here today.
Well, the first one, of course, would be, okay,
Now, wait a minute, Bill.
okay,
Let me ask this question.
okay, all right, sorry, Dale.
Any moratorium, whether it be created by the commissioners or the APC, would not be exempt from judicial review, would it?
Correct.
Okay. So no matter what kind of moratorium you may have in place, if another interested party, for any reason, wanted to challenge that in court, they could do so.
Absolutely.
Say, you're not playing fair.
Right.
You're breaking the rules here, so,
That's absolutely correct.
okay, so.
If we were breaking the rules.
What
they would
rule
have
are
to-
we breaking?
Well, we're not breaking any yet. Right now, we're just asking to put a pause on things. If they had grounds for that, then absolutely that is subject to judicial
And from our standpoint, we do have an attorney that specializes in solar and has worked on several moratoriums and all of that. So from that standpoint, I don't know if that's kosher or not, but has worked through these, and I know offered it to the rest of the APC that they work with them if they need to.
Well, it's for sure, even if we were inclined, there's nothing we can do today.
You cannot stop solar from happening today. You can't stop someone from applying tomorrow. That's great. Plenty of towns and cities and counties have done so in the last 5 years, and they've all gotten smacked pretty good. And then not only that, they pay attorney fees.
Right.
Sometimes I think, personally, they do that just to stop it, knowing that it's going to get shut down in the courts a few months from then, but they kind of got what they wanted anyway.
So today, do the commissioners, if they're willing to, make a motion on presenting a moratorium to the APC?
Okay, now, how would that fit in then with us providing a notice then for the, so of course, to amend the agenda, I'd actually need to send that into the paper and then channel 3 after I'm finishing here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So we can meet the 48 hours.
But the only thing on the agenda item would be is the APC entertaining setting a hearing out 10 days and giving public notice.
Yep.
And of course, the APC could say no.
Right.
Right, so what we're asking the commission to do is to kick it to them with the
And
understanding.
even if the commissioners do nothing today, you can still come Thursday and ask for that.
Correct. But also, in the event that the APC does review and it comes back to the commissioners, we would ask for a special hearing to implement the moratorium officially, should it be granted.
Why don't you just talk to the APC at the next meeting and ask them to consider this?
Well, because your attorney even just said it maybe comes a little better from an elected official.
Exactly, yeah, that's what he said.
So we're coming to you as our elected officials asking for your help in this matter.
She
Which is why
doesn't
we
know
would like
the-
you to approach the APC on our behalf.
Now, I'm also not going to put my clients on the spot. The other thing you do know is Mr. Munson is on the APC. So you do have an elected official on the APC. You also have a county council member on the APC. So you would have elected officials to kind of guide them.
I still personally, and agree or disagree with me here, room, this is a board of elected officials for the entire county, and if I were sitting on the APC, I think it would mean more to me than just having our group come in. Like you said, it's the voice of elected officials, so if you feel so inclined, if they can't make suggestions to the APC, but, you know, you guys know what you're doing.
So is it something that's like a vote is taken on because we have formally requested that you guys do that? So a vote will be taken on that? Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm nodding my head to you. No, a vote, you can't formally make requests that they vote on something. If they want to vote on it, they can, yes.
Okay, but they don't have to.
Correct.
They do not,
Okay.
no. There's no reason that they would have to today if they say they're just not gonna, nobody's gonna make a motion.
Oh,
Because their next meeting is also the 5th.
of July.
I don't know.
Wait, whose next meeting's July 5th?
I've got,
I mean,
Everybody.
yeah, everybody.
Oh, okay, but it's
This'll be a
all
Wednesday.
right, yeah. Okay. That'll be a fun day.
It's gonna be a big day for you.
I think I understand everybody's intent here. I've never seen the commissioners interfere in an APC matter before it even happened. So far, nothing's happened there. You've got a meeting scheduled, but for the commissioners to tell them what they're going to do before they even get to the meeting just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think I'm expressing this in the way that I'm envisioning it in my mind, but it doesn't have the right feel to it.
So if I can speak, to me, so we came to the commissioners today to present our concerns about solar. Yes, there's one project that is a little near dear to our heart, but it's a concern for the entire community, whether it's Everton or wherever the next one's gonna be coming in. So we presented you today, and what we would ask is, okay, you brought our concerns to us today. You know what? ABC, we heard their concerns. All we're saying is, you know, we are under the recommendation of hearing a public forum for concerns and for a moratorium on solar. So I don't think you're telling them or interfering with them. What we're saying is we came to this elected body to present our concerns and so that we're not saying the exact same things over again. You've heard that, and just saying that, you know, we would approve the public forum, or maybe not approve, but verbiage there. So I don't think it's about that we're asking for you to give them our blessing, that we heard them and we agree with them.
And in this situation, isn't he kind of, with you being on the airplane, are you even able to, it's basically between you and I then sitting here, is that my understanding? I mean, isn't he like already on the area planning?
Okay, one way to look at the elected officials that sit on the area plan commission. Okay, Dale is your liaison to the area plan commission. I think that's a good way to.
So I mean, he couldn't recommend this based on him, that's why I'm asking Jeff.
Yes, he can.
He can, okay, because I thought maybe he couldn't.
So he can make recommendations to you.
I thought he couldn't, I thought you were out based on your position with the airplane.
By statute, he's on.
I'm trying to understand.
So it sounds like
Our
Dale,
split second deal was
Dale Munson can hear us today, he gets to hear us in a couple of days, and then hopefully the APC would then recommend to the commission to go ahead and implement the moratorium. So Dale would recommend, or not, how we move forward, the whole APC, but,
We're just asking for time.
Yeah, we're asking for time.
Recommendation to get us some time.
We just wanted the APC to know, and Dale, you know now, that we came before the commissioners, that you've heard us. I personally don't want to be in a situation where, again, time is of the essence here, and the APC says, well, hell, go talk to the commission, okay? And we're like, well, we're already there, and we're kicking it back and forth. We just need to put a stay on this for a minute, or 18 months.
I kind of feel like it's, you guys have been warned, there's a car on the tracks, there's a train coming. No train's coming, nobody's ever pushed the car off before. I want to push the car off the track before the big train gets there. We just want to put a moratorium on it, kind of stop it temporarily.
This,
so we can get
this
the
is
data.
the
And say
constituents.
that the train really would hurt the car and kill the contents of the people in the car.
I'd also like to add to what Tom said about how many years did they work on the ordinance about the CAFOs? How many years did they work on that ordinance?
That was a long time.
I would say 3 years at least. And so I don't think a 3-year moratorium would be asking that much, at least a 2-year. Because again, they thought it was so important to get that ordinance correct before they make decisions that are going to affect the farm ground, the farmers, the farm family in this county forever.
And do we have to state the time today?
No.
We're just stating.
In fact,
if
I'd
we
encourage
want-
you not to.
That's right, I was thinking we don't need to go there.
I think you've got two options. I think you've got an option to not do anything and just move on to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and move on to approval of claims payroll. Or you have the option to move to advise the APC to look into a moratorium.
Well, since you're gonna be there Thursday
Yeah,
anyhow.
you can advise them. Do that deal.
You're the eyewitness. These folks have made their concerns and aware to us, and
I'll move
you
that
guys need to make a decision.
I'll move that we ask the APC to look into the moratorium.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy, to communicate to the APC that the commissioners have asked the APC to consider a moratorium. Is there any further question? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. On that. That's no guarantee you're gonna get what you want.
Right.
We just appreciate your
You're
understanding.
giving us a
When you
shot
time.
to get to our shot, so we appreciate that very
Just
much.
gotta start somewhere.
Right. Well, thank you, commissioners, for your time. I personally will be
thank you.
excusing myself for your payroll meeting.
That will take long.
Now, move to approve claims and payroll.
All that leaves left for us is claims and payroll.
Yeah,
Second.
I moved to second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to approve claims and payroll. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We just need
Hey, there's a meeting still going on. Sit down.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, second.
Motion by Dale, second by Tracy to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.